the 280th consecutive time, Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska is sold out. The hardy Big Red fans are welcoming Texas with Cornhusker weather. Rain, cold, and a Great Plains wind gusting at 25 miles an hour. Longhorn quarterback Colt McCoy is about to play his first game ever outside the state of Texas. His Nebraska counterpart, Zach Taylor, has been urging the Big Red Nation to make their welcome as noisy as possible. That's coming up. But right now, let's go to John Saunders, Craig James, and Doug Flutie. Looking live at the Sea of Red inside Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, as we welcome you to ESPN's College Football on ABC, presented by Best Buy. You can see the Big 12 standings. This, the showdown between the division leaders, Nebraska and Texas, could be the first of two. They could meet again in the conference championship game in Kansas City. Welcome, everybody. I'm Brett Musburger, along with Coach Bob Davie. You know, if Texas is to get back and play for the national title, they cannot stumble here. What are Mack Brown's concerns, Bob?
Well, Mack Brown's biggest concern is for a sluggish start, and I think for legitimate reasons. First of all, it's 36 degrees. That wind is howling out of the north, and I promise you it feels a lot colder on that Texas sideline than it does on the Nebraska sideline. The second reason for his concern, it's an early kickoff. It's 11 a.m. here. Texas stayed in Omaha last night. They had an hour-and-a-half bus ride into the stadium. Look for Texas, maybe a trick play early, some gimmick in the kicking game. Mack Brown's going to try to give his football team, Brent, a spark and get them going.
And Bob, Bill Callahan on the other side, they need a statement game. This is an ideal setting for the Cornhuskers.
No question, Brent. Nebraska's 6-1. The people around the country are still skeptical because of their schedule, because they got beat 28-10 by USC. We saw that game. I know we both think they're a better football team. Everybody wants to know, are the Huskers back on the national map? We're going to find out here in a couple minutes.
And one of the things that Callahan will do, he will utilize the running game against these Longhorns who are experiencing Great Plains weather. The Hawk is rolling in to Lincoln, Nebraska. And the Cornhuskers are about to storm into their Red Palace, led by Coach Callahan. Nebraska has won the toss. They have deferred. Texas will begin with the football as the Big Red Machine rolls onto the field. Let the showdown begin. The kickoff is next. This ESPN production is available on ABC HD, presented by Dish Network. Two of the great programs in the history of college football squaring off here, Texas and Nebraska, and just note how close they are. Both have played football for more than 100 years, and they are only half of the teams that have won 800. Michigan and Notre Dame, the other two. Let's check in with the third member of our team today. Here's Lisa Salters.
Well,
Lisa?
Brent, the weather could definitely be a factor here this afternoon. I was watching Nebraska's kicker, Jordan Condon, during warm-ups, and as he was practicing his field goal, at least one attempt, he got nothing but air because the ball and the tripod device that was holding the ball blew over. He just looked up at me and said, "I'm from San Diego. This isn't supposed to happen," but that's how much the wind is gusting. Also, the punter, Dan Kitchener, he mishandled a long snap that I saw because the ball was wet. His coach immediately came over to him and said, "Look, we've got bad weather. You've got to see the ball into your hands before you kick it." It is cold have set up on both sides, and I've already warned both teams they're going to have to fight me for some time in front of them. Brent.
Good stuff, Lisa. Stay warm down there. And Coach Bill Callahan, his 3rd year with Nebraska. He came bearing a passing game, but he has turned more and more towards a running game, and Mack Brown takes his team on the road for a big-time showdown, beaten once this year, that down in Austin, of course, by the top team in the nation, Ohio State. The Huskers, having won the toss and deferring, they'll kick it off. You can see Green will hold the ball on the tee. The wind already a factor. Jordan Congdon will kick it off with Cosby and Young back deep for the Horns. This figures to go a little bit short. They want to return here. Cosby up on it here to the 20-25 hole in the middle. Breaks free. One to beat on the far side. Can Green catch him? Cosby is inside the 10-yard line. What a joke from the Longhorns on the opening kickoff.
And Brent, because of overall team speed, Texas with a big advantage in the kicking game. I'm a little surprised that Nebraska, with the wind, couldn't kick this ball deeper. Quan Cosby takes the opening kickoff back to the 10-yard line, but maybe a touchdown-saving tackle right there by Tierre Green at least gives Nebraska's defense a place to start right here.
Now, what a point you make, because we talked about the fact with the wind at their back, they'd nail that back into the end zone. Instead, a 78-yard return, and here is Colt McCoy, 1st and goal against the noisy, and I do mean noisy, Big Red Nation. First play, a handoff, no surprise there. Carricker hanging on as they barge to the 5-yard line with Selvin Young. Now our impact players here, Colt McCoy under center, Limas Swede, his go-to guy, but Justin Blaylock's a story. He has moved from right tackle to right guard because of an injury. His first career start a week ago at that position. He'll lead this talented Horn offensive line up to the line of scrimmage.
And Brent, it really helps Texas. They are a silent count football team. There's no cadence.
Again, Young, nothing doing. This will make it 3rd and goal as Stuart Bradley, number 34, makes a stop. Now, do you have McCoy put it up here, Coach, right away?
I do, Brent. They have a lot of confidence in this young freshman. He threw 6 touchdown passes last week. I go ahead and throw the football, and I throw it to Limas Swede at 6'5".
Remember now the corners at Nebraska, undersized. 3rd down and goal from the 5. Nothing doing. Nebraska, Kevin Gosgrove's defense rises to the task, and Jordan Shipley can't come around to score as Rude makes the stop.
Brent, we talked about the open, the alert for a trick play. Mack Brown's going to try to get this team going. The little hidden play right there as they hand the football to number 8, Jordan Shipley. So Mack did come with the trick play, but go back to that saving tackle by Tierre Green on the opening kickoff.
It is amazing that Greg Johnson has attempted only 2 field goals at this point in the season. Here's number 3, 22 yards. And he nailed that one. Johnson puts the Horns ahead after the 78-yard kickoff return. But the Big Red defense held inside the 10. We welcome you back to Lincoln, Nebraska. 3-0 the Longhorns after an explosive kickoff return. Strike first. But Nebraska very pleased that they could hold Texas out of the end zone with 3 plays. And then the trick play was number 1. And now we will see what Hunter Lawrence can do. They have taken the kickoff duties away from Greg Johnson. Not wanting to tire him, Mack wanting to use him just in the field goal, and of course he nailed the first one with Kenny Wilson and Brandon Jackson back deep. The return men have moved up to the 10-yard line, and you can see this wind here. This will go out of bounds, so it will come out. We want to go back to this 3rd down play because folks go back to Arkansas. Look at that little man kneeling down just to the right of the quarterback. hoping that the defense doesn't see him. Root picked him up immediately. He is the only one who was not fooled, and 51 jumped him. He probably saw that on a highlight during the week, and he said, you're not going to pull that trick on us.
I'll tell you, that's an old Bobby Bowden play. Off of punt formations, the first time I ever really saw that play. But great job by Nebraska's defense.
So now it will be Brandon Jackson, the running back, as we expected. Zach Taylor, number 13, is the quarterback, and the constant motion. 4 Cornhuskers jump around on the first play, and then they bring Harrion through, and they're going to throw it on first down. With the wind at their back, they go right to Matt Harrion, who is to the 41-yard line. Aaron Ross making the stop here. Now, we talk about Bill Callahan's thick playbook, and I do mean thick. The last 4 games, take a look at these drives. He scripts 15 plays for each game, and not one of them took the entire 15 plays. That, of course, he brought with him from his days in the National Football League with the Oakland Raiders as a play caller and later as a head coach. 2nd down and 4. The adjustment this time again sends Harry in a motion through to the left, and they will run Jackson, and that stout run defense of the Horns is there with Robert Killebrew, number 40. We talk about the fellows who make a difference here, Bob. The 3 running backs that we'll see today for the Huskers.
Bill Callahan, the reason, Brent, he made the commitment to the running game days like this, because this wind blows in Lincoln, Nebraska. Last year they were 111th in the nation in rush offense. Now they are 11th in the nation as we look at Brandon Jackson. Cody Glenn in the football game now.
For the 3rd and 2, a bit bigger than Jackson. See if they keep it on the ground. Toss play to him. Glenn trying to get the corner. Will he get the first down? He does. So it's a 1st and 10. And let's get our first update on this Saturday afternoon. Let's go to Matt Weiner. So we'll get that corrected. And here it's 3-0 Texas with the field goal. And again, that shifting, putting the fullback Todd back there. And now Lucky is the running back. We've seen all 3 of them. And he's brought down on the 47-yard line. Scott Derry, the Will linebacker, making the stop on Lucky. So already we have seen 3 of the running backs for the Cornhuskers here. 2nd down and 9.
Brent, you will not see a football team in college or professional football that shifts and motions more pre-snap than Nebraska. They do it virtually every play.
Second and 9. Play clock coming down now for Zach. Has protection, but nobody is open. He'll pick up a couple of yards running. He's not a real dangerous downfield runner if you haven't watched him, as we see the City Nebraska offensive lineup. And of course, we have talked about the running backs they're going to play here today. But Zach's number 1 target could be number 83, Terrence Nunn. And Greg Austin is a story. He's graded out the highest of the Cornhusker linemen after missing last week. He's back at left guard, number 65. He'll lead on the power running. Much of the time it's a zone blocking for Callahan and his staff, but sometimes they go to the old Nebraska power, and here comes that guard pull. Harrion going through the formation again. Rolling the pocket to the left. Harrion couldn't get his block, and Zach is going to be sacked. So the tight end could not pick up the block, and Tim Crowder brings down the QB.
And they try, as you mentioned, Brent, to keep the tight end, Matt Harrion, in to block Tim Crowder. Tim Crowder projected as a 1st-round draft choice. Already 7.5 sacks this year. Big sack right there. The tight end unable to maximum protect and block the defensive end.
So Dan Titchener in to punt for the first time, and you saw Ross back deep to return for Texas. Dangerous return man awaits. Has the win. Ross makes a fair catch inside the 20-yard line. At about the 16 is where the ball will be spotted. The Longhorns lead it, and they're about to have the ball for the 2nd time when you come back. Talk to Mack Brown. He immediately talks about Vince Young and his progress with the Tennessee Titans. And a week off. And so his great quarterback who led him to a national championship is on the sideline today with Young trying to pick his way against the Nebraska defense and not much doing. As we now take a look at our city offensive lineup for Colt McCoy and the Horns. Selvin Young has started. Of course, he'll alternate with Charles. Lyle Sindline. A lot of talk about what the quarterback has to do in the noise, but remember it's Sindline. You can see him pointing as he comes up to the line of scrimmage. They always have to identify the Mike linebacker, make sure that the blocking pattern is set, and he's the one in charge. Fake it. Colt McCoy with time. Incomplete. Intended for Quan Cosby, and our city defensive lineup for the Cornhuskers looks like this. Jay Moore, number 44. He in character tremendous. Stuart Bradley's been in on a couple of plays, and Courtney Gripsky. His hands full now, number 2, and Andre Jones.
And Brent, you know Texas studied that USC tape. You know they like their matchups with their wide receivers on these two corners. Courtney Gripsky, a heck of a player, but he's about 5'8".
Corey McEwen is playing today. There was a question about him, but he is in right now at linebacker. He's number 13. This is 3rd and 8, and they wanted to set a flanker screen, and it's incomplete. The Huskers force a punt, 3 and out.
Brent, Colt McCoy is going to be a heck of a player, but he doesn't have a real strong arm. Keep in mind, he's throwing into the wind. Even on the screen pass right there, he had a difficult time getting that football to the wide receiver.
Now, Greg Johnson, who kicked the field goal, punting along with place kicking, but not kicking off. Terrence Nunn hopes to give the Huskers field position. Still 8 minutes to go with the wind at their back, gusting at 25 miles an hour. Gets a beautiful Texas bounce down inside the 35-yard line. When we come back, Lisa Salters will interview this big fella.
And every yard that I gain, extra-minute affair. I'm Vince Young in this game, I'm so fresh. And every yard that I gain, extra-minute affair.
Nebraska has outscored opponents 69-7 in the first quarter this year. They come out this time, and the punt return man, Terrence Nunn, if he had that to do all over again, he'd have made the fair catch. He cost them some yards in field position, and they'll start from the 34-yard line with Kenny Wilson. This is the 4th of the running backs now in the game. His first carry, nothing doing. And we check in with Matt Weiner for an update. Matt.
Fred, it's the Taco Bell update from Columbus. Ohio State has beaten Indiana in 13 straight meetings, but the Buckeyes go 3 and out on their first possession and punted to Tracy Porter. That turned out to be trouble. Porter 36 yards the other way to set up a Hoosier field goal. They lead it 3-0.
Indiana's amazing saga continues, but there's a ton of time left in that. 2nd down and 12. Pump fake. Zach fires back. It is complete, well short of a first down, and that's J.B. Phillips, one of the tight ends.
Brent, I think it's really important in this football game. Nebraska runs the ball 63% of the time. I think they have to throw the football on 1st and 10. They came back. That would have been a great opportunity on that 1st and 10 to throw the football. Now they're in another obvious passing down. They're going to have a problem protecting. So I think throwing the ball on run downs as this game continues is really important for Nebraska.
Number 16, Maurice Purify, the JC transfer, developing into the big-time receiver. As the defensive line resets, he's off to the left. Zach looking in that direction, fires, got him, breaks free. Here he comes, headed for the end zone. Touchdown, Purify.
And Maurice Purify, the junior college transfer from San Francisco City College. They say he is an NFL talent. Just broke a tackle by Deion Beasley and Michael Griffin and took it to the house.
Condon tacks on the extra point. On 3rd and 7, the Cornhuskers go 63 yards as Zach Taylor hits a big-time wideout. Maurice Purify, Bob.
And I want you to watch Michael Griffin, number 27, the free safety, has an opportunity right here. He has to make a decision, Brent. Does he go for the football or does he go for the tackle? Did not wrap up his arms, and Purify took it to the house.
His career long for number 16 is exactly what Bob said. 27 trying to slash in for the ball. The two defenders collide, and Purify takes it home for Nebraska.
Purify at 6'4", Brent. They say he's an NFL-type receiver. Was a heck of a basketball player as well at San Francisco City College.
That has ignited the Big Red Nation here. Inside of 6 minutes, the opening quarter in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, the last time out, it was a short kickoff. Jake Wesh, a backup kicker, is going to try it this time. So Callahan, who stresses special teams, trying to find somebody. This time, he got the kickoff he wanted. And let's go now with Lisa and Vince Young. Lisa.
Well, Brent, certainly you recognize this guy with me, the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, Vince Young. Vince, I know you're playing on Sundays now, but that could be you out there right now playing. What do you miss about all this?
I just miss the team, my teammates. I miss the fans and this UT period. And I had a great time there, so I'm looking forward. I'm glad to be here today watching these guys play.
Now, Colt McCoy has told me that the most difficult part of coming in after you is that people keep comparing him. But he says he talks to you all the time. How have you helped him?
I just basically tell him to go out there and play his game. Don't worry about what everybody say. I mean, to me, he is a great quarterback, and he's doing great things for them guys right now.
All right, Brent, you can come back to us in a minute.
All right, we will. And Colt is back here, dropping it off. And it is complete to Selvin Young. Back to Lisa.
Now, Vince, you've had a similar situation. You were replacing a pretty good quarterback in Steve McNair yourself. He's no longer with the Titans. He's with the Ravens, but you talk to him all the time. Well, how has he helped you?
He helps me out a whole lot. I mean, just off the field and doing football, well, I just tell me to play my game. But off the field, he helps me out to become a better man in life.
Now, he doesn't have to do that. What does it mean to you that he still talks to you and still tries to keep you under his wing?
I mean, it means a whole lot to me because he's just like a father figure to me. So I love him a whole lot for that whole situation he's doing for me.
And lastly, you got that first win as a pro. I know it meant a lot to you, but why was it so important to get that first win last week against Washington?
I mean, it was important because a lot of people say I'm not a quarterback and a lot of different things like that. So I wanted to show the world that I can play on the next level and also I can win ball games.
Thanks a lot and continued success. Brent.
Thank you, Lisa. As we look at the man who succeeded, one of the great college quarterbacks that we have ever watched. And I'll tell you one thing about Vince Young. He doesn't always look like the prettiest quarterback you've ever seen, but he is a big-time winner. And the Titans will learn that in the years ahead. Teammates always really liked playing with Vince Young. Now it is 3rd down and 7 for Colt McCoy and the Horns. Good throw for a first down. To the 31-yard line, Lima Swede, his first reception of the game.
That's the luxury of a 6'5" Lima Swede, Brent, on number 25, Andre Jones. A lot of pushing and shoving going on, but this guy has emerged as a big-time receiver for Texas.
The last 2 throws have been good, Bob, as Jamal Charles is the running back here for the Horns alongside Colt. There it is again, throwing that flanker screen to Jordan Shipley.
And Brent, you know, seeing Vince Young on that sidelines reminds me, every time we go around the country and talk to guys, we always ask, do you talk to some of your teammates that are in the NFL now? And all those teammates say they always had more fun at the college level. And I know Vince Young, for him to come to Lincoln, Nebraska today on a day like this, he misses being a part of this Texas Longhorn football program.
2nd down and 7 for the Horns. Quarterback draw, and Nebraska was ready for it. Steve Octavian off the injured list this week. Number 15 in to make the tackle.
Texas has kept the same offense that Vince Young ran. Obviously, the missed block right there by number 22, Selvin Young, on Octavian.
A 3rd and 9. McCoy and the Horns need to reach the 41-yard line. So here's 3rd and 9. Putting it right on the quarterback's shoulders. Huskers would love to keep Texas in 3rd and long all game long if they can. Showing blitz, and a timeout is called. The Huskers crept up to the line as scrimmage time was running down, and McCoy needed to call a timeout. It's interesting when you look back at the first 7 starts for Vince Young and compare them with Colt McCoy. Now, we're not saying that one is any better or similar, but take a look at that. Both 6-1, except go to the bottom. The one huge difference, of course, is that Vince Young was such a fine runner. 644 yards in his first 7 games as a starter. Bob, what do you make of that?
What I see, Brent, is Colt McCoy, his dad's a coach. He's going to develop, but he may be close to as good as he's going to be. Vince Young, when he started, a lot of room off the charts as far as how much improvement Vince Young made from the time he started until he finished. Vince Young came in as a raw talent. Colt McCoy comes in as a guy that's been coached up since he's probably been in the 4th grade. So,
now, what did he tell us? He used to stand by his daddy's side there on the sideline when Daddy was coaching high school football when he was 4 or 5 years old, tried to tell him what plays to call. Remember that?
Well, you know what I think? He comes from that little town in Texas, 700 people. He lives in Jester Hall in Austin, Brent. There's 3,000 students in his dormitory. 3,000. He comes from a town of 700.
Yeah, Tuscola doesn't have that many people driving through it. What did he tell us? 1 stoplight, and that's blinking. 3rd down and 9. 2:44 in the opening quarter. 7-3. Nebraska leads it. In case you're wondering, Texas came in a favorite. You don't often find a road favorite in Lincoln. There's that flanker screen, and the Huskers are eating that play up. Bo Rude, number 51, with his 2nd fine stop. This one on Juan Cosby.
And this Nebraska defense, #1 in scoring defense in the Big 12, only give up 13.4 points a game. You see they have all the momentum right now. They are flying to that football, Brent.
Now they're going to send 2 men deep on this punt. Remember, Terrence Nunn let it bounce, and Texas picked up quite a few yards in field position. So Nate Swift will go back with him. Johnson, the punter. And Swift lets it take a bounce. He was signaling for a fair catch and running up and decided to let it bounce down. So let's check in again with Matt Weiner. Matt.
All right, Brent, let's get a Verizon Wireless update from Columbus, where all is right in the Buckeye universe once again. Troy Smith, the Rory Nickel, 23 yards. Go back over the Buckeyes' 14-game win streak, and today, 31 touchdown passes, just 4 picks for Smith.
And Ohio State, Matt, of course, firmly entrenched as the #1 team in the nation, headed toward that confrontation against Michigan, which could decide one of the teams that will wind up in Glendale, Arizona, playing for the BCS title. 1st down and 10 for Nebraska, leading it 7-3. Power run left side, Jackson. 9 yards on a 1st down carry. Man, Bob, what a difference it makes for quarterbacks when they wind up. As Killebrew is shaken up on the play for the Horns. What a difference when you get 9 yards on 1st down, huh?
And you see the commitment to the running game. Brandon Jackson, a tailback, Brent, started the season the 4th tailback. Buried on the depth chart. He's emerged as the starter here.
Killebrew being tended to over at midfield, one of the starting linebackers for Texas. Sergio Kendall, his replacement, already on the field, so he will. There he is, number 2.
And this Texas defense has had some injuries, particularly in the secondary. Marcus Griffin, Terrell Brown.
Let's go to the left side of the screen here, Bob. See if you can pick it up. Looks like he was injured going down when he tangled up with his teammate, didn't it?
It looked like he reached, obviously, for that right knee right there, but I agree.
Well, he'll come off here to the near side sideline for Mac Brown and the Horns. And now we've talked about the Nebraska rushing game so far this year.
Brent, it's a little bit skewed as far as the statistics. We see they run the ball 63% of the time, but they've got ahead against some lesser teams and run the ball. For instance, they had 316 yards rushing against Troy State, 261 against Nichols, 252 against Louisiana Tech. So that 63% may be skewed just a little bit, but no question, Tom Osborne got to Bill Callahan and says, listen, that wind blows in Lincoln, Nebraska. You better be able to run the ball.
Exactly. Second down and 1 now. Glenn is the running back. Todd's the fullback who sets in front of him to lead the way. He's not going to get the first down. This Texas defense is allowing only 47 rushing yards per game. That's #1 in the Big 12 and #2 in the nation. And that time it was Aaron Lewis right there. And to make the stop for Texas. So this is a tough team, but because of the 9-yard gain on 1st and 10, you've still got the defense guessing run or pass here on 3rd and 2. Now you see Jackson, number 32, is the running back.
You got it.
Bobineau steps back out. Now they're going to rush him late, throwing against it incomplete. So 2 fine defensive plays by the Longhorns here, and they force Nebraska to punt again. That's not what Callahan had in mind. And what was that? That's a very good question.
Zach Taylor recognized the zone blitz. Just no one knows where he was throwing that football.
Titchener back in. And Aaron Ross is back deep.
Sometimes when you punt with the wind, Brent, there's a tendency to outkick your coverage, and Aaron Ross is a dangerous return man with 3 career punt returns for touchdowns.
Gonna let this one go. And this time it's Nebraska's turn. There's a penalty flag thrown at the 25-yard line. And we've got our first flag of the game, and we almost played the entire first quarter, unless I have forgotten any penalty, but that is the first one. That was 4th down and less than 5. Let's see what happens and when that flag was actually thrown here. And our Big 12 officiating crew sorting it out.
Yeah, I think it's on Michael Griffin, number 27.
Holding, number 27 of the return team. Half the distance, first down.
If we let this roll, you're going to see Michael right here. There's the hold and the takedown right there. Obvious call.
And that backs the Horns up well inside the 5-yard line. The officiating crew spotting it just around the 3. Now Colt McCoy and that Horn offense will be operating with a lot of noise at their back. Charles is the running back. First down and 10. They have been held to 18 total yards. Texas had. Here's a first down, and the linesman steps in as the final seconds in the first quarter have ticked off. And ESPN's College Football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We welcome you back with Nebraska leading Texas 7-3 after the first quarter. The wind is at the Longhorns' back. Colt McCoy. The running play picks his way to the 6-yard line as Charles. And the first quarter possessions, keep in mind that on their first drive there was a 78-yard kickoff return that really set up that field goal. but Nebraska held inside the 5-yard line on a couple of plays. But since then, 2 yards, 12 yards, and now just a couple of yards on that first down run with Charles in behind the fullback. Everything very conservative down here. And again, Hole, first down, Charles to the 17-yard line.
And Texas, a spread offense, but line up with the fullback in the game. Just run the simple isolation play right there to Jamal Charles, and that was a big first down. Brent, there's no question Texas can throw the ball and exploit Nebraska's corners. But in the first quarter, they're going against the wind. They didn't have good field position. Now they have some field position. Let's see if they throw the football down the field now with the wind.
Luke Tiemann, the fullback. Keep it on the ground. And Charles, and we go back to Matt Weiner.
Brent, Indiana and Ohio State on ESPNU this afternoon, and Troy Smith has another highlight for his Heisman audition tape. Spinning out of trouble and spotting Ted Ginn Jr. 14-3 there. Unbeaten Louisville off to a slow start, trailing at Syracuse while Arkansas returned the opening kick 100 yards. The Hogs lead 14-0.
All right, Matt, Syracuse can give you some problems up there in the dome. We'll see how that one unfolds. Louisville, one of the unbeatens. Colt McCoy slips, comes around, throws underneath to the fullback coming out, Chris Obanaya, with his first reception of the game. Goes Obanaya back off to the sideline, and the Texas coaching staff, they stayed in Omaha. Bus down here, had an escort this morning. Left about 8 o'clock, came down to the rain. The wind has been gusting up to 25 miles an hour. 3rd down and 6.
Let's see if Nebraska comes after this young freshman quarterback in this obvious passing down.
3 wide, they cross underneath. McCoy looks for a target, got him first down. Beautiful throw by Colt McCoy that time, and he hits Jermichael Finley. That's a freshman tight end who was a terrific high school basketball player also.
And you see the composure of Colt McCoy as a young quarterback, Brent. A lot of young guys would have taken off and tried to run with that football, but you talk about a talent. Finley, a big-time basketball player, actually had a chance to go to the University of Arizona and play for Lute Olson.
Really, Lute wanted him over there.
That's what I heard.
That's pretty good now. They don't go after any bad ones, as Charles is split out of the backfield, one of the receivers, and McCoy firing incomplete. Lima Swede in the middle. Shanley, the free safety. Coverage for Kevin Cosgrove, who's the defensive coordinator for Bill Callahan.
You talk about Kevin Cosgrove, a guy that's weathered a lot of storms, a veteran of coaching. His first year, they wanted to run him out of the state of Nebraska. They were so bad on defense. Now, 2 years later, he's got the #1 scoring defense in the Big 12.
Did a fine job with Barry Alvarez up in Madison. Won 3 Big Ten championships when he was the defensive coordinator. There's your base 4-3. And that little inside shuttle pass, and wasn't a whole lot of daylight there, was it? As the running back Selvin Young had checked back in, and Lance Brandenburg, the backup middle linebacker, replaces McEwen. They think he's a good one too.
You can see Greg Davis trust Colt McCoy, but not as much as he would trust a veteran quarterback. Shuffle pass, you see a lot of screens. Now throw the football down the field.
McCoy is 7 of 10 for 33 yards. This appears to be a throwing situation again against these corners. They're looking blitz. Here they come off the corner. McCoy steps away from it. He's going to run, not get the first down. He is cut off at the pass by Adam Carricker.
And Kevin Cosgrove heated the freshman up. They come with an all-out blitz right there, and a great effort by Carricker right there.
This was a zone blitz as they dropped Carricker back into coverage, and that's why big number 90 is back there waiting to clean up. So it is 4th down.
That's a big old linebacker at 6'6", 290 now, making that open field tackle.
Greg Johnson back to punt. Terrence Nunn. Gonna let this one go. It's going to be downed inside the 5-yard line by the Horns. Inside the 1. 53 yards. Sooner or later, the Huskers are going to have to step up and catch some punts, folks. We got time out.
Brent, a lot of times when the wind blows, punt returners lose confidence to go be aggressive and make the catch. Here you're going to see Terrence Nunn once again is not aggressive, doesn't attack the football, and Nebraska for the 3rd time today has squandered away valuable field position in the punt game.
So starting inside the 1-yard line, keeping it on the ground with Glenn. And Lisa, what was the reaction on the Nebraska sideline?
Oh, Brent, Bill Callahan was not happy when Nunn let that ball hit the ground. He screamed at the top of his lungs, "What are you doing?" The kid just walked off the sideline, walked right by his coach. He knew he was in the doghouse. He just walked right by his coach.
2nd down and 8, and still on the sideline over there. He's one of the preferred targets. It is, of course, Maurice Purified with the long touchdown reception, and you can see from that sky cam in tough field position facing Zach. He throws over to the right-hand side, well short of the 1st down, to the tight end Matt Harrion at the 5-yard line. This will be 3rd down at about 6.
And that play right there said it all about this Nebraska offense, Brent. You noticed how much shifting and motion they did before the snap, and then the short play action pass. That really is the West Coast offense. But if I'm Bill Callahan, I'm careful right here. Texas with 10 forced turnovers on defense the last 2 weeks. They'll take the football away from it if you're not careful.
3rd down and 6 from behind Taylor. Jackson's his running back, 32, against the 4 defensive linemen.
Let's go!
Offensive line gives Zach time. Incomplete. Overthrew the intended target, Terrence Nunn, who was back on the field momentarily out of the doghouse. Now, one other thing to keep in mind about these Longhorns. Everybody raves about Virginia Tech, but over the last few years, the team that has blocked the most punts, you're looking at them when they come out right now, the Texas Longhorns. So from behind Titchener, he knows he's got to get this one out. Griffin, of course, with 7 of the blocked kicks, looking down to see if he's going to get help, get an angle. He's against the wind now.
47 block kicks since 2000, Brent.
Gets it out. The Horns will take field position, and they do fair catch it just inside the 40-yard line. Aaron Ross. So when we come back, we'll get to know the young man from Tuscola, Colt McCoy, the Horns QB. We got a dandy for you Monday night on ESPN. Eli Manning and the New York Giants travel down Texas way to play Drew Bledsoe and the Dallas Cowboys. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Everybody who likes football will be there Monday night.
That's about as good as it gets Monday night, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good one now. 1st down and 10, Selvin Young. Before the snap. You were talking about that in our conversation with Mac. I said, Mac, what are you going to be doing Monday night? He says, let's get he said, I'm going to be watching Monday Night Football with every. He said, I never miss it.
1st down.
But when you were coaching at Texas A&M and up at Notre Dame, did you watch Monday Night Football, or were you busy?
I knew you were going to go there. I mean, Mac is as good as there is in the country as the CEO, but he's not going to be up there real late watching a bunch of tape. Now, on that other side, Bill Callahan, he'll be there till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning watch that tape. There's a bunch of different ways to do it, and no one can argue with the success Mac Brown's had.
Look at the wind blow that football away, Bob. The umpire has to retrieve it and bring it on back. There's that flag, and it's been gusting down there. Going to be a huge factor.
And how about Colt McCoy's first game ever outside of the state of Texas? He's going to be homesick after this one, I think.
He's handing off this time to Selvin Young. Young left side looking for a first down. Barges across a powerful run by Selvin Young that time. 21 yards by.
And Texas runs this little counter play. You see the guard and tackle pull. This has become their #1 running play. A year ago, it was Vince Young running to the side zone. But Selvin Young, who lost 15 pounds, shows power right there, running over Tierre Green in the open field.
All inside the 25 for the Horns. They struck first. Nebraska answered 7-3. So Colt trying to change up, and that's not easy here. A three-step drop on the slant, incomplete. Grigsby, the defensive back, was right there, and there's a flag. Nate Jones, the intended receiver, but a flag flies.
Offsides, number 13 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So McEwen, the middle linebacker, didn't practice much this week, but able to go here today. He's the guilty one.
Interesting that Colt McCoy has been under center a little more than I thought he would be. Up there trying to call that cadence. Communication always tough when you're under the center, not going on the silent count.
Selvin tripped up this time. Pacific Life game summary and a look at the early numbers from this 7-3 game. Both offenses trying to find some rhythm here in the rain. Nebraska with only 6 rushing yards against this Texas front. 4 first downs for the Horns, 2 for Nebraska. But of course the big play, well, each side had a big play. Texas with a kickoff return and Nebraska with the touchdown pass. 2nd down and 5, and Jamal Charles, he's the running back. First down. Reached close to the 10-yard line.
And this is impressive, Brent. Jamal Charles, who ran a 10-100 electric time, shows not only a burst, but great power right there. That's impressive for a track guy to run that hard.
That's about as strong as I've seen him run. I haven't seen all of his games. I know a year ago he had great future with that speed, but you're right, Bob. That was powerful. He was taking on defensive players.
And that's what competition. We saw Selvin Young run that counter a little bit ago. That'll make you run hard because you have to get on the field.
Good point. Looking for that burst. Here he comes. There's the speed. Just short of the first down marker and the end zone.
Again, Nebraska caught in a little bit of an inside stunt right there. You see Jamal Charles get to the corner. Again, the undersized corner, Grigsby right here. Difficult time tackling in the open field.
You know, Ulatowski, the freshman making his 2nd start at right tackle. He's doing a good job on that play now. So here on 2nd down at 1, Selvin Young has come back in, and the officials calling a timeout here to get things straightened out. And you can see what separates the Longhorns from going back ahead again in this game.
Brent, you always go back to those little things. Think of Terrence Nunn not fielding that punt for Nebraska. Nebraska starts on their own 1. Obviously a huge field position advantage after the punt with Texas. Anytime the wind blows, it's a field position game.
It's probably what Callahan's thinking about right now. You know, McCoy, for his first road game in hostile circumstances. Remember when they went in to play Oklahoma, the crowd there is 50-50 in Dallas, and when they went down to play Rice in Houston, that was in the Houston Texans stadium, and there was a lot more burnt orange in there than Rice fans. And he looked very calm to me. I'm sure the Texas fans are feeling the same thing as they watch him from around the country right now. The young man's got terrific upside. Now he's got a 2nd down and 1. Got a power formation in, low key. The defensive lineman switches over as the lead block. He can usually take you right to the action. And just prior to the snap,
Again, Colt McCoy under center. The tight end jumped that time for Texas prior to the snap.
Costly jump.
False start. 87, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
So Neil Tweedy guilty, and
you're going to see Tweedy right here, the right tight end.
that's all it takes. Second down. Remember, they can pick up a first down inside the 1-yard line.
And now back in the shotgun, silent count.
He's going to throw for it. Incomplete. Lima Swede was coming inside with the smaller corner. Courtney Grigsby.
And Courtney Grigsby, a very competitive corner right there, just squats on Lima Swede. Lima Swede didn't really look like he was running that time.
3rd and 5.
How big the penalty on Tweedy, the tight end.
Forced him back into a passing situation when it cost him the 5 yards. And now 3rd down and 5. They're going to throw for it again. Touchdown. And that time there was daylight, and Quan Cosby, the sophomore. Texas regains the lead.
And they come back and run the exact same play against the exact same coverage, but with a different receiver. And Quan Cosby gets the touchdown.
You know what was different, Bob? In looking at that replay, he made a little move to the left. Grigsby kind of froze. Did you notice that?
Did.
And then he cut
gave
hard.
Him a little shake to the outside and then broke it back inside.
Yeah, gave him a little more to deal with over there. And now Greg Johnson will try to make it a 3-point Texas lead again. Blocked. That's a free ball, remember, but that goes in the end zone. A blocked extra point. 9-7. And we will not forget that moment. How often have we seen a misfire on an extra point come back to haunt a team? But Texas regains the lead, 9-7, 6:43 left in the first half. The Big Red Fountain, part of this massive complex off to our left. The new facility for the Nebraska football team. Certainly one of the finest that we've ever seen. They just moved into it earlier in the summer. And now it is time for our Aflac trivia question. When was the last time Texas did not have a 1,000-yard rusher? And who was the starting running back that season who did not gain 1,000 yards? Think about that.
I know that. Coached against them that year.
No hints. First down at 10. There's a handoff. They come back with the running game, and Marlon Lucky, and let us check in with Matt Weiner. Matt.
Indiana and Ohio State on ESPNU this afternoon, and Troy Smith is having that afternoon. Distributing the football, Anthony Gonzalez on the other end of his 3rd touchdown pass to 3 different receivers. Louisville, meanwhile, has 32 yards of total offense at last check. It trails at Syracuse. It is 6-0 heading to halftime.
Yeah, Ohio State headed for its 8th win, but keep us up to date on that Louisville-Syracuse game. 2nd down and 8. Zach going to put it up. Fluttering into the wind. Fine catch for the running back. Brandon Jackson slips out, and it's a first down for the Huskers.
Brent, you mentioned it. Brandon Jackson lines up at I tailback. Watch him sneak out on the wheel route down the sideline right here. Excuse me, that's Cody Glenn. No, Brandon Jackson was the fullback. They lined him up the tailback at fullback and snuck the fullback out of there. That had me confused.
Well, they had them both. That's the first time they've shown that formation. And it's a 28-yard gain. First down and 10. Lucky, the running back. What you doing against that fierce Texas front. Scott Berry has taken over at the will linebacker spot, or the weak side, if you will. He's a junior Texas youngster, like so many of these fellas are, up to make the play.
Brent, you looked at that waterfall coming back after the break. Have they done a marvelous job with facilities here at Nebraska?
Haven't they, though?
A lot of credit to Steve Peterson, the athletic director, who had been a recruiting coordinator, understands the wow factor when it comes to bringing recruits in.
Second down and 8, and timeout's been called. Nebraska will use a timeout here with 5:08 to go, and Bill Callahan looking at his play chart over there as he calls the plays down on the sideline. We'll take a break. It's 9-7. Why 9? Texas had an extra point block. Well, here's a reminder today at 4 Eastern. Join ESPN in Orlando for live third-round coverage of the Funai Classic at the Walt Disney World Resort. And tomorrow, complete tee-to-pin coverage of the final round. That moves to ABC now, beginning at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. The Big Red Nation, 280 consecutive sellouts. Got to go back to the 60s before every seat wasn't taken. Boy, you can find an empty seat in this house. There's the fullback leading the way. Jackson, the running back, behind him. Into Texas territory. This will bring up third down and long for Zach. Remember now, Nebraska's moving against the wind. Taylor's over with Coach Callahan. Our quarterback comparison, and you would have to say that Colt McCoy's holding his head pretty high here with a touchdown pass. Hasn't made a critical mistake. Hasn't thrown a pick. Zach, of course, the senior quarterback, second year running this offense. And that's how the fellows look right now. And if there's any surprise, it's how calm number 12 has been for the Longhorns so far in this game. His first football game ever outside the state of Texas.
You know, we had him against Ohio State early. At that time, he looked like he was about 12 years old. He's grown up. He looks like he's about 13 years old now, Brent.
Well, that fellow who's down is a defensive lineman, Loki, who also comes in and leads the way. Short yardage situations. He was down there when the tight end moved, flinched, and cost him 5 yards just before the touchdown pass. So hopefully that is not a serious injury. He's one of the big fellas up front for Coach Mack Brown. You know, when you think about the job overall, we've talked about it, that Mack Brown has done down in Austin. It's one of the finest overall coaching jobs that you and I have ever seen.
No question. We talked earlier. He really is the CEO.
Absolutely.
And at a place like Texas, you may need to be that. You know, just controlling is not the right word, but getting all the high school coaches in the state of Texas on your side, and he's done a wonderful job with that. You know, they already have 23 commitments for next year. So recruiting's basically over. And if I could say one thing, he treats people the right way. Whether it's a high school coach, whether it's you and I, whether it's the fan, he's truly a great guy.
Yeah, you know, he would have made an unbelievable politician. When you think about Mack Brown, his ability to work inside a room and talk to people and say the right thing, it's amazing.
And you know, it's legitimate and it's sincere and it's every time.
And he's got Sally back home to help him out too. No, that doesn't hurt. Third down and 6. And Zach identifying what would be a possible blitzer coming at him. Steps away into pressure again, intercepted. What a terrific Gene Chizik defensive call leads to the Michael Griffin interception. Bringing that zone blitz pressure, and Zach stepped into it and threw the pick.
And Zach got immediate pressure from Drew Kelson and Aaron Lewis. And right here, Brent, just throw the football away. You've heard it since you were in midget league football. Don't try to throw the ball back across your body into the middle of the field. And Michael Griffin comes up with a key turnover. Their 11th turnover in 3 games.
And that is only the 3rd interception this season for Zach Taylor. Now 1st and 10. And McCoy, after the turnover, going to go deep, see if he can take it home to Swede. Got it! Touchdown, Texas! Right after the turnover, with the wind at their back, the horns strike. Colt McCoy to Limas Swede.
And How about Colt McCoy? Adam Carricker at 6'6", 295 in his face. And a little double move by Lima Swede on Andre Jones. Dwayne Jarrett got him at USC. Lima Swede got him today. But the quarterback, Brent, when you see the replay, hung in there and took a hit.
It just got a whole lot warmer for the Texas players.
Who's the senior quarterback and who's the freshman quarterback? Zach Taylor throws the interception, and Colt McCoy, the young guy, comes back and throws the strike.
Last extra point attempt was blocked. Not this one. 16-7. So Colt McCoy, a 55-yard touchdown hookup.
And the first thing, Brent, the courage. Watch Adam Carricker right there in his face. And the second thing, you see Lima Swede and really Andre Jones in good shape right there. Just didn't go play the football.
And on that other sideline, Callahan is upset with what went on. 4 minutes to go. Into the wind, the turnover, and on the next play, 55 yards from the young man from Tuscola. Talking to Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, upstairs. Call came down from up there right after the. How many times, Bob, how many times have we seen after a turnover, a team that is so typical of the National Football League? You get a big turnover, strike right now.
No question. And then to be able to execute it with the big defensive end in your face.
The Lawrence's kickoff over here in the corner, fielded by Jackson. Got a little seam. Still battling out to the 23-yard line. Well, let's go back to the Aflac trivia question. Last time not have a 1,000-yard rusher, and who was the starting running back that season? Back we go to 1994. Priest Holmes ending the season. John Malkovich down there, 524 rush yards. Priest, of course, then exploded when he came to the National Football League, and there you can see the list since then. It is the longest active streak in the NCAA. A year ago, Vince Young was down on the Texas sideline with 1,050 yards following the 4-year reign of Cedric Benson, who's now with the Bears. And Loki, who was shaken up, will go back to the Texas locker room here with 3:26 to go. And Zach throwing down, fluttering, incomplete. And pointing out that his receiver should have cut off in that direction. And Bob, that's one thing you got to be careful of, is showing up your receivers. And
probably a little frustration, obviously, on Zach Taylor's part. We talked to him yesterday, Brent. You know, he threw 37 passes a year last year. This year, only 25. So they haven't thrown the football much, but what a classy young guy meeting with him yesterday. Just the quality of the young man.
Son of a coach out of Norman, Oklahoma, went to Wake Forest before transferring to a junior college. And then came in here, and where is the number 13? Second down and 10. They're coming after him again. He slips the blitz but can't get by the defensive lineman. So he was being blitzed by Michael Griffin, got out of his hold, but then Thomas Marshall makes the stop.
And you're going to see the safety blitz. Griffin right there. You also see Zach Taylor, not a great amount of escapability right there. But Michael Griffin, 22 starts. You mentioned 7 block kicks. He will be a first-round draft choice as a safety.
Only 2 yards rushing against this Texas defense. They're giving up less than 50 yards a game. Ohio State didn't rush for 100 yards. I think Oklahoma is the only team that's done that against this front. And you can see just how good defensively. Some coaches have said this is the best defensive unit that Mac Brown has had, and that's saying something. There's Orakpo, Brian Orakpo making that stop.
Texas now with 27 sacks. You see Brian Orakpo, who comes in passing situations. And Brent, right now, it's about protecting that punter right now if you're Nebraska, because I think Texas will be coming.
A timeout has been called by the Horns, and Mac Brown knows with that wind at his back, if he can get another one, it is huge right now. Even a field goal. And let's check in with Matt Weiner in New York. Matt.
Well, Brent, just about the time we told you about Louisville's offensive struggles, the Cardinals embarked on an 80-yard touchdown drive, much of that on the ground. Anthony Allen finishes it off, and the Cardinals up 7-3. From the Big Ten, Wisconsin leads at Purdue 10-3. Penn State has Anthony Morelli quarterbacking, but has managed just 3 points against Illinois in Happy Valley.
And Matt, of course, Morelli suffered a concussion, slight concussion against Michigan. It was knocked out of that football game, so we see him back in. Illinois has made a little bit of a burst this year, a better football team than they've been the last couple of years. So we'll see how that one unfolds. And of course, Louisville unbeaten, trying to stay there. And now from behind Ross, the return man. Texas definitely looking for field position. He is standing inside the 50-yard line right now.
And Michael Griffin, number 27. 7 block punts, Brent, up there at the top.
I'm sure the Huskers have identified him. Danny Titchener. He's the Nebraska punter here with 2:10 to go. Plenty of time for the Horns. They want that short field as he's working against the wind. The game turned around completely on field position, if you will. One of those little things when Nebraska did not field a punt cleanly and the ball rolled back inside the 1-yard line. And then working against this wind, Nebraska has not been able to do a thing since then.
Field position, Brent, and then the turnover. It always comes back to the little things.
So the clock being straightened out. Wind at 17 miles an hour against him. Todd is the up back. He gets it off, and here comes Huff. Fair catch right there. Man, it's amazing what a difference a fair catch can do for you as we go back here about.
You talked about it. Field position, a big part of the game. Also, this turnover right there. Zach Taylor, ill-advised throw right to Michael Griffin, and they come right back and make Nebraska pay for it. Lima Swede beating Andre Jones, the junior college defensive back.
Now Colt McCoy, who's had a fine first half here in Lincoln. He's going to throw again on first down. Sacked. Could not get away from Jay Moore, the defensive end. He and Carricker, 2 good ones.
Jay Moore, we talked to him yesterday, a fullback in high school. Just the speed rush around the right corner right there. Beat Ulatowski, the freshman.
Jay gets down again in his stance. The flare to Charles. Short of midfield and thrown back by Bo Rude.
Yeah, they're not booing. They're saying Rude, kind of the first family of Nebraska football, brother and father, played here at Nebraska.
Suffered a terrible tragedy this summer when the mother died during a fishing trip. Heart attack. The older brother, of course, playing in the National Football League. 3rd down and 11. Here comes the blitz now against Colt. Gets it off, but well short of the first down. Lima Swede is thrown back by Jones, and there is a penalty flag back by the quarterback. Did they rough him?
Brent, they roughed the quarterback, Shanley, number 8, the safety.
Roughing the passer, number 8 of the defense, 15 yards, first down.
And Brent, that was a good call.
Let's take a look.
You're going to see Shanley at the bottom come on the safety blitz. The ball is clearly gone. You can't do that. You cannot do that. That's a devastating penalty because that would have forced Texas to punt the football.
They took that extra step, didn't they?
Not a vicious hit, but it could have been avoidable, and I think an excellent call.
Oh, the automatic first down, in trouble again, and the ball's down. Fumble with 51 seconds to go, and it's Nebraska football. A big hold here by the Cornhusker defense.
And Kevin Cosgrove comes with the blitz again. He brings Shanley from the outside. He brings Rude right up the gut, and he outnumbers them with 4 guys blitzing from the weak side. And the freshman coughed the football up.
And that was Bradley, was it Shanley there?
Shanley, I believe, recovered.
And he dove in late and got it. Exactly. 45 seconds working against the wind through the slant, incomplete.
I don't think there's another defensive back in the country that's playing as well as Aaron Ross, this corner right here, Brent. He had 3 turnovers in the 4th quarter against Oklahoma, and he will hit you. He's not only a coverage guy, he will hit you and he'll return punts. This may be the best corner in the country right here. First year as a starter for Texas.
Well, that was good, and he's been a terrific punt return man with the fair catches, remember, here today, too. So Aaron Ross having a big game, 2nd down and 10 for Zach. Trying to strike deep, incomplete. And they'll go to 3rd down here with 35 seconds left. Swift there is the intended receiver that time, working the sideline. The number is given to Zach, who checks the wristband. And it is a very complicated offense that Callahan has installed here. In the second half, we'll give you an idea of what Zach says in the huddle. We'll show you some of the terminology as they use it. And folks, he said, you know, it was like trying to learn a foreign language. And when you hear it, just give a listen to this to see what he has to say here.
I get the call from the sidelines, and the play might be weak right west, U shift F short, 81 flanker drive, fullback pivot. And you have to hope that everybody heard right and left and all the right things and everybody's on the same page.
That is unbelievable, isn't it?
It really is.
You know, in the game, they take all those off the wristband. I mean, that whole call, along with 150 other calls, is on a wristband, and the coach just signals in number 48. But to look down and read that and then call that in the huddle, that's unbelievable how many words that is in that call.
What do you say, Bob, that practice is tougher for him because he doesn't have that wristband?
Exactly. Bill Callahan just calls them in practice, and then he has to repeat the call in the huddle, so he doesn't have the wristband in practice. But that is an unbelievable amount of words, and a big part of that, because Nebraska shifts so much pre-snap, they have to call all the shifts so they're all synchronized.
Now, how is Gene Chiswick's defense playing all the shifting? What have you seen down there? I know you like to really watch defenses.
The thing I see is they only shift when they're going to run the ball. In passing downs, they're stagnant. So the quarterback can see the coverage and the defense doesn't do a lot of shifting, which may confuse them. So what I see Texas doing on rundowns, they're basically just lining up and not adjusting to a lot of those shifts. Not playing a lot of man-to-man coverage, which can be confusing against the shifts. But in passing downs, Brent, they're doing what they want to do.
There, folks, is a man who, as an assistant coach, has lost only 1 football game in 2.5 years. Remember, he was the defensive coordinator of an unbeaten Auburn team before moving to Texas prior to last year when they went unbeaten and won the title. Now against the 3rd down, Zach is sacked. 29 seconds to go. Aaron Lewis. And the wrestle for the football down there, as you can see. The umpire said, big rascal, give me that ball.
And they line up in old Buddy Ryan double eagle defense and then blitz the middle linebacker, Rashad Bobineau. The ball comes out, recovered by Aaron
I didn't realize
Lewis.
that. I thought he'd taken it out when it was on the field, but we got a turnover here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry about that.
And that was a tremendous effort by Bobineau, who beat the block of Marvin Lucky, the tailback.
If they strike here, you can second-guess Callahan working into the wind. Here comes McCoy. Got a 1st down. It'll stop now for a couple of seconds while they reset. There's Finley again. Going into the face of the wind. Callahan elected to put it up and try to strike deep late, inside of a minute in the second half. Texas has the wind. They're trying to get close enough for the field goal at least. There's 14 seconds now, Coach. Let's talk about time management here.
14 seconds, Brent. Right now they have 1 timeout left, so they can pretty much do what they want to do right here on 2nd down. I would throw the football to Lima Swede, but watch the effort by Bobineau on the blitz. That's a tremendous effort. And then number 95, Aaron Lewis, comes in and cleans it up. But I don't fault the play call. I fault Zach Taylor for not protecting that football right there, Brent.
Second down and 10. Here comes the blitz. Cosgrove sends him in. Incomplete. Pittman was the intended receiver.
And Brent, with one timeout left, obviously Texas can throw the football. Even if the quarterback gets sacked, they can call timeout and get the field goal team out there.
He's 12 of 16 for 110 yards. He's thrown 2 touchdowns. Selvin Young is the running back. He's off to his left.
It's all out blitz.
Going to throw in underneath and stop the clock. Pittman's out of bounds. Green, the defensive back, number 30, is right there.
I'd go ahead and kick the field goal now. 6 seconds left.
Well, yeah, on 4th down for sure.
It is 4th down,
yeah.
exactly.
So Johnson, Greg Johnson, he made a 22-yarder earlier this game. It's like about a 39-yarder. On the right hash for the left footer. Curling in. No good.
And that's with the win. Surprising right there. The snap looked good. The placement looked good. He just didn't hit it. Nebraska dodged one right there, Brent.
2 seconds left. This time you would expect him just to run the timeout. And they do.
Yeah, the clock starts on change.
Clock starts on change of possession. So the 2 seconds ran off because of the new rule. And so the Horns of Colt McCoy take a lead. Mac Brown's with Lisa. Let's go down below.
Thanks a lot, Brent. Coach, you were fortunate to get the ball back at the end there. But
we forced a good turnover, Lisa.
You did.
There you go. They were fortunate to get it. We were fortunate to get it back there. Let's put it that way.
Good point. But what happened on the field goal? You guys were with the wind. What happened with the
I think we kicked it short. We've missed 4 points in the kicking game, and that's not good. But I'll take a 16-7 lead into Lincoln anytime at halftime.
All right. The guys were saying up in the booth that it looks like Colt is the senior out here. What's impressed you most about what you're seeing from him so far?
Well, we had the slow start, but you figured that with their buzz offensively. Colt came out and did a really good job of managing there at the end. I wish we'd have gotten the points because the offense and defense put us in position to, but we've still got to stop them this first 5 minutes of the second half. Nebraska's going to come back with that same surge they started with.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck second half. Brent?
All right, Lisa, thanks a lot. Right now, let's send it to New York. We're going to join the Saunders gang. Here's John.
Got him, breaks free, touchdown, Purified.
It is 16-7 here at the intermission. Texas leading Nebraska. And it's time, folks, for our Best Buy playbook. Bob Davie, take it away.
Well, first of all, this comes after a Nebraska turnover. Texas comes right back. Watch Colt McCoy stay in the pocket, shows a lot of courage. And then the little double move by Lima Sweet on Andre Jones. He comes off, kind of looks like he's almost loafing just a little bit here, setting it up, and then burst by the corner Andre Jones for the big touchdown after the turnover.
And I'll give you something that's out of whack, folks. Nebraska's longest running play of the game, 3 yards against this fierce Texas defense. We got to talk about Texas and the stand they're making in this game in these conditions.
Impressive, Brent. Coming in here, 11 a.m. kickoff. They stayed an hour and a half away in Omaha. I had to bus in this morning. It's cold, it's windy, the wind chill is about 28. You're playing with a freshman quarterback, his first game ever outside the state of Texas. But I also love their defense. 4 sacks, forced 2 turnovers. The only thing they didn't do right, they left 4 points out there. A missed field goal and a missed extra point, but very impressive by the Longhorns.
Colt McCoy, when he was born, folks, he was born in New Mexico. Daddy took a little dirt from Texas, put it underneath the crib. He's been a Texan ever since. I can't get over the fact, high school, everything, this is the first time he has ever been playing in a football game outside of the state. Big drive into the wind now to start the second half, and handing off to Glenn. None of the running backs could get a rhythm as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. Go right away to the rushing yards here. -6 for Nebraska. And I know that a big deal is being made, Coach, about you got 4 backs and they're all good and they've all been over 60. You've been around big-time running backs. They have got to get into a rhythm, don't they?
That's always the argument. You know, when you alternate 4, can one ever get a feel for the game? But Nebraska's going to have to stay within their game plan, Brent. They can't all of a sudden just start throwing it because they have really problems pass protecting.
Here's Zach in trouble again now. Oh, gets stomped on over there by number Aaron Lewis as we check in with Lisa.
Well, Brent, I talked to Bill Callahan coming out of the half, and I said, Coach, I know you are a big special teams guy, so I know you had a lot to say to your special teams at halftime. And he said, you know what, Lisa? Special teams, it's critical. Field position in weather conditions like this, it is imperative that we make the best possible decisions on the field to give ourselves the best possible field position, and our guys did not do that in the first half. Brent?
Yeah, Lisa, I think it may have cost them upwards of 25 or so yards on those punts that were allowed to roll, and one really put them in a hole when Zach and the Huskers started inside the 1. Here's 3rd down and long now. Taylor firing for the first down to the 40-yard line, out to the 45-yard line. Terrence Nunn, the young man who did not have a good first half returning punts, but he makes a big play there.
Terrence Nunn is their best wide receiver, a young man from Houston, Texas, so you know this is a huge game. Texas playing zone defense right there, really more of a man-to-man coverage team. They picked that zone apart that time.
23 yards, and Taylor has now thrown for 128. 1 touchdown pass, but that critical interception. Kenny Wilson is the running back. And here comes Wilson.
Number 27, Kenny Wilson, the ball carrier.
You know, Brent, we had a chance to see the Michigan defense last week against Penn State. Tremendous front 7. This Texas defense may be right there with them. Outstanding quickness and speed on this Texas defense up front.
2nd and 9. Frank Okam is checking the call from the sideline. Play fake. Taylor, who's been sacked 4 times, was trying to hit his fullback and threw it away, and the pressure. Brian Orakpo in the crowd not liking what they're seeing here, Coach.
Well, a great job of coverage by the linebacker, number 33, Scott Derry, on the fullback right there on the misdirection. And we're going to take a look at what the crowd saw. I think a good no call right there.
Derek Lokey still out for the Longhorns, and Roy Miller been playing in the middle of that defensive line. 3rd down and 9. And against that blitz, it's deflected, incomplete, and on the first series of the second half, Nebraska forced to punt as Rashad Bobineau rolls in and deflects it.
Again, Texas jumping in that double eagle old Buddy Ryan defense and blitzing Zach Taylor.
So here's Dan Tichenor, first punt of the second half, Coach. And Aaron Ross, I think you would agree, he's been a factor both as a defensive back and a return man here.
3 career punt returns. And also, we saw the big hit early in the football game.
Under a pretty good rush that time. No flag, and Ross is interfered with. I don't think there's any question about that. Back on the 12-yard line. And this penalty will go against the Huskers interfering with the catch by Ross. 11:52. Colt McCoy and the Horns will have that wind, remember, at their back with a 9-point lead. In case you just joined us and you're wondering about the 16, it was a blocked extra point, or it would be a 10-point margin.
Kick catch interference on Nebraska. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's a major penalty.
And number 24, Brandon Rigoni, no question. And special teams problems continue against Nebraska. Remember the first play of the game, Brent, they give up the huge kickoff to Quan Cosby.
So there is Ross. And now that'll move the ball out to the 27-yard line for the first down for Colt McCoy, who is 13 of 18 for 115 yards and 2 touchdown strikes in the first half. From the I formation, Selvin Young steps back to the right, beats one tackler, and Carricker brings him down to the 30. And let us check in with Matt Weiner. Matt.
Well, Brett, we documented Louisville's slow start at Syracuse, but the third quarter has been their quarter this season. They've outscored their opponent 63-7 right after halftime. Colby Smith, the touchdown run there, 14-6. Ohio State's gotten 4 touchdown passes from Troy Smith, and Miami, with those 13 suspended players, leads 10-0 at Duke.
Matt, just box up and send that Heisman to Columbus, Ohio. Second down and 7. For the handoff here. And again, Stuart Bradley, number 34, very good running, very good linebacker, tackling Selvin.
You have to be impressed with this guy. How about those statistics? First time ever out of the state of Texas. You know, this Texas offense, a lot of people don't realize, number 1 in the country, Brent, averaging 42 points a game. And where's Vince Young? We haven't seen. I guarantee he's by that heater over there, if he's still here on that sideline.
He's got that stretch limo headed out of Dodge, baby.
He thinks this one's under control, right?
Third down and 5. Here's Colt. Stands in and fires complete. One thing you see about Colt McCoy, got terrific courage. He was standing in there, the pocket collapsing, and he did not jumpstart his throw till he found Finley open. Watch him.
And I wonder if that's part of being naive. He hasn't been hit enough yet, but you are exactly right. I mean, he stands in that pocket for a young guy. Vince is still here.
Indeed. Right down there with Beasley talking a little ball. And he's got, look, he's got that Horns cap on. You guys don't talk about me leaving a Horn game early. And here comes Selvin. Then let's check in with Lisa.
Well, Brendan, injury update for you on the defensive side of the ball for Texas defensive tackle Derek Lokey, a lower right leg injury. I'm being told that he will not return to the game. Brendan.
That's too bad. And remember, he is the lead fullback down inside the 10-yard line. We're talking about Vince Young and limos. I can't get over that great story Mac Brown told us. He called him after the championship game. Remember, Vince had said publicly he was coming back for his senior season. And he said, Coach, can I come over and see you? And Mac said, yeah. And he said, and Mac told us, when that limo pulled up outside, we thought maybe he was going to the NFL.
And the entourage was already in place. That was a dead giveaway. He was gone, huh?
Second down and 8. Incomplete. Free ball for a second there. And down on the artificial turf here in Lincoln again. Shanley, the defender. Third down and 8 coming up for young Colt McCoy. Nebraska needs something big to happen for them, Bob. You know, it's been very, very quiet for the corner, and they're in Lincoln. I mean, 280 consecutive sellouts, the most passionate fan base in the nation. Great loyal fans. They need something big to happen.
And we've kind of hit a lull, but it's only a 9-point game right now, even though Texas, you feel like they're in control. But one play can turn this thing around.
And Rude is looking at the clock, and Texas will call a timeout. And the time was running down, so avoiding the penalty, Colt uses a timeout. 16-7. The Longhorns with the lead. On a cold, windy afternoon, Lincoln, Nebraska, 16-7. The number 5 team in the nation with only one loss, hoping to climb back into the national championship picture. Led by the young quarterback, Colt McCoy, throws one up in the air, incomplete. Was hoping that his receiver could run down under it. Green, the safety, had come over on Billy Pittman that time.
Well, this Nebraska defense, as we watch Jay Moore come unblocked against the empty no-backs. That last year, Brent, they led the nation in sacks with 50. Only 11 this year. But the big reason is because they lost their best corner, Zach Bowman, in camp with a knee injury, and they just haven't been able to play a lot of man-to-man. But a big pressure right there by Jay Moore.
Swift into return punts this half. And he at least makes the catch out at the 15. If you go back to one of the key plays of this game, at the start of the second quarter, Greg Johnson's punt was allowed to roll down inside the 1-yard line. It was then 3 and out, and the Texas go-ahead drive started at the Nebraska 40-yard line after Aaron Ross made the fair catch. And then Colt McCoy's touchdown pass to Quan Cosby from 6 yards. But you go back to the field position in the punting game, and that is the play that turned the game in Texas' favor. Here now, 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line. And can Zach Taylor and the Huskers do anything with it? The running back will be Brandon Jackson, number 32. And we'll see if they try to get a running back going. You could see he was looking over to the sideline to see if he was even going to stay in the game on 2nd and 8. You could see that none of them have been in the rhythm so far. Jackson probably the best, certainly, with the 4 carries for 15 yards. Remember, the sacks and the loss of yardage comes off of that, and that's Maurice Purify is on the field right now. He scored the lone Nebraska touchdown. 2nd down and 8. They throw to Terrence Nunn, and he's short of the 1st down. Ross over there defending. And we've got an injured player down for Texas at the 12-yard line. Is that Killebrew again? I may have spoke too quickly. Yes,
I believe it is number 40, Brent Killebrew.
That's the 2nd time that the linebacker has been down.
Again, I'm impressed with Aaron Ross, the corner, and the ability he has to tackle and hit in the open field. This Texas defense will hit you. That's why they force so many turnovers. You combine that aggressiveness with speed. That's why they get the turnovers.
Well, we'll take a break here while they tend to Killebrew. And again, Texas leads it 16-7. A low-scoring game and a big 3rd down for Nebraska coming up right here. Usually when they shift that many, they've been running out of it. Jackson's a running back. They're going to throw. Short drop. Got it. 1st down. Come back to Phillips, the tight end, and it is 1st and 10 on a 3rd down. Good call, and that time out of the motion, Coach, they threw the ball.
Exactly. Maybe that's why Texas was a bit confused. But J.B. Phillips, another kid from the state of Texas, big 1st down right there.
Ball at the 30-yard line. The Huskers trying to mount something here. Low scoring, only 23 points. Favored Texas leading it 16-7. Zach trying to reposition and watch over on that side, trying to identify who might be coming. Line holds. Got it again. 1st down, Terrence Nunn. Now the crowd trying to climb back in this game a little bit here.
Excellent pass protection that time against the 5-man rush of Texas. Look at the time he has to throw the football. Hits Terrence Nunn on the crossing route.
Sergio Kendall, number 2, the linebacker who stepped in for Killebrew, was coming, and Nunn shaking him just a little bit, goes over to the far sideline. Todd Peterson in as one of the wideouts. Lucky is the running back. He's a good receiver, number 20. Zach with good time. Down the middle, dropped. At the 39-yard line, it was dropped by Nate Swift.
Nate Swift, who last year broke the Nebraska record for freshmen with 35 catches. Boy, Brent, have to make that play. That's a sure-handed guy right there, too. But the pass protection right now, last couple plays has been excellent for Nebraska.
Taylor, 9 of 18, 153 yards. Jackson back in as the running back. Still throws in underneath to Peterson, who's short of midfield. We check in with Matt Weiner again.
Brent, number 1 Ohio State having all sorts of fun on ESPNU. Used to seeing Ted Ginn score the touchdowns. He has 16 for his career. On the reverse, Ginn has a gun, or at least an arm. Finds Rory Nickel there, 38 yards, first career touchdown pass on his first attempt. Michigan State on their way to losing their 5th straight, while Penn State scored 14 in less than a minute to take the lead on Illinois.
Haven't been the same since the Notre Dame game.
Like the Arizona Cardinals and the Michigan State Spartans. Any similarities?
In the death spiral. 3rd down and 5, both of them. Zach under pressure late, fires deflected, incomplete, and it'll be 4th down. Chiswick and Aquina have put together some defense here for the Horns.
You're going to see Zach Taylor again, the pressure coming. He never set his feet. See the point, Brent, we made about Colt McCoy of standing in there? Look at Zach Taylor basically backing out against Bobineau, and as a result, the ball thrown behind, none the wide receiver.
So from behind, Titchener. And the sure-handed Ross standing back just inside the 20-yard line. Punting into that 19-mile-an-hour wind. 80-some thousand, very, very quiet as Texas took charge in the 2nd quarter. Ross makes another catch. And Colt McCoy will come back out. We'll hear from the young man when we continue. The saga of Colt McCoy continues. 14 of 21 for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns here. His first trip into a hostile environment. And so far, he's been A-OK. Faking to Charles, rolling pocket hard to the right. On the move, caught and out of bounds. And let's get to know Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy, starting quarterback, University of Texas. Growing up, I was always around my dad. He was a coach my entire life. And I can just remember I was on the sidelines. I was 3 or 4 years old. I was big and tough, you know, standing on the sideline. And the play came out of bounds, and I got ran over and broke my collarbone. So I did get run over, but I stood right back up.
I think he's big with the co-eds with those blue eyes.
Wow. He told me he lives on the 10th floor of that Jester Hall. He goes straight up every night and doesn't pay any attention to that.
He'll learn.
Yeah. That's the only thing that made me nervous about it.
There's the elevator stop on the way up, wasn't it? 5:14, 2nd down and 10.
He's impressive. I'll tell you what, he's a talented guy. And you combine that with his dad, a football coach. How about Mac, the knee replacement? Wonder how it's holding up in this cold weather. First time.
He's walking pretty good now.
That's what being up 16-7 will do.
You're right there. 2nd and 10. Here comes Charles. And the Charles is met by the Nebraska defense, and Bradley is there, and we check in with Lisa.
Well, Brent, Coach Davey was mentioning that Mac Brown had knee replacement surgery just in May. We were talking to him on the phone earlier this week, and he says his rehab recovery, he's right where he's supposed to be, but doggone, he says it's just so painful. Earlier in the season, he tried to walk around at practice. That wasn't doing so well, so he went to the golf cart. I asked him, did you ever consider sitting on maybe a stool during the games? He said, I thought about it, but I told my wife it might make me look too old. Sally said, the players already know you are old. Right?
Here comes the Nebraska blitz, trying to get to the young quarterback, and he completes a first down pass in the teeth of that rush from Mac Brown. And nice job indeed. That's the way to do it, with Lima Swede turning it out, recognizing the blitz, and McCoy does the rest.
What a great job of pass protection right there. And the thing they did a great job, Brent, you noticed the unblocked defender came from where the quarterback could see him. And Colt McCoy again stood in there against the unblocked guy and delivered that football.
This Texas coaching staff is, in a word, excellent from top to bottom. 1st and 10. Taking off. And a first down for the Longhorns. Rude finally wrestling the quarterback to the ground.
You know, they actually say that he runs the option better than Vince Young. And the thing that jumps out at you, he's tough. He is a tough young guy.
Yeah, you know what he says? Don't mess with Texas.
With a name like Colt McCoy, he's in the right state, isn't he?
Yes, he got the right name. That'd be a Texas quarterback.
That wouldn't work in Detroit.
I bet Darrell Royal watching on TV would have loved to have had somebody named Colt McCoy. He is indeed the real McCoy. Handing off now to Charles. Another first down. Still going. Fumble. Picked up by Swede to the 11-yard line. When you're hustling and you got good players, good things can happen.
And I want you to watch the big left tackle right here, Tony Hills, who was a tight end. Watch this big guy pull right here on this counter, Brent. That's a big athlete right there. He gets the linebacker block. And now Selvin Young gets the ball stripped by Steve Octavian, but Lima Swede comes up with the big recovery in the open field.
A 1st and 10 at the 13-yard line. And the Horns are threatening to put this one away. 16-7. Nebraska's had only one long touchdown pass. Charles behind the right side, and he stands up. Jay Moore was helping out there with Octavian, and near the end of the game we'll select the Chevrolet player of the game from each team to honor their determination. Chevrolet makes a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
You know, this Texas offensive line is really good. They moved Blaylock inside to guard. He's 335. Studdard's 305. Sendline 315. That's their center and 2 guards. And you look at Tony Hills at 6'6", 300. This might be the best offensive line in the country as well.
Indeed. Young back in as running back. McCoy looking for touchdown pass number 3. Battle in the end zone, incomplete. Lima Swede, and he was defended by Grigsby.
And Grigsby was locked up on Swede. Let's take a look at it. You know, Brent, the thing he did well, he was looking back to the football the whole time, Grigsby, and they normally won't call pass interference, even though there was some bumping going on. And you saw the 40-inch vertical right there by Grigsby. He got up that time.
3rd down and 11. Deflected and 4th down. So 4th down, the field goal attempt coming up. Last week, Texas faked a field goal.
I tell you who's playing a heck of a football game is Steve Octavian. We see him come up the middle, and then Bradley, wow.
Here's Octavian, number 15, off the injured list this week. He was active in practice. So here is Johnson. This would be a 31-yard attempt. Jordan Shipley is the holder. Pulled it. No good. He's missed 2. And Nebraska stays right in the thick of this. Down 9, 2:30 to go in the third.
Keep in mind, 2 minutes and 31 seconds left in the third quarter, Brent, and then Nebraska gets the wind in the fourth quarter. So really, they're in shape right here. It's only a 9-point ball game.
But that running game, or lack thereof, for the Huskers against this Texas front, -2, 4 sacks of Zach Taylor. That's cost the Cornhuskers 28 yards. And even if you give them the 28, that's a pretty weak rushing effort, especially for a Nebraska team in Lincoln. That's how good this Texas front is.
I'm surprised we haven't seen some screen passes, Brent, to try to slow this Texas defense down a little bit. Let them get up the field, run some screens, or even some draws on them.
Showing blitz. It's picked up. Throwing. And a big gain by Terrence Nunn to the 40-yard line. Good job by the offensive linebacker.
And Brent, they have improved their pass protection here in the second half. Texas again coming with the blitz. He gets the ball out quickly. And this is one of those games where you feel like Texas has been in control the whole time, but Nebraska's still hanging right there.
Brent Byford, the center. He had one of the key blocks. There's the offensive lineup. Number 16 is Purified. He scored the
Found him.
Texas rushes 4 this time. Dropped again. This time Purified. And time permitting now, stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report featuring scores, highlights. We'll have John Saunders with Craig James and Doug Flutie. Of course, we've got the second game of the doubleheader coming up. Many of you will see Michigan, Iowa. And here it is, second down and 10 with a minute and a half. And as Coach Davey told you, they will get the wind at their back in the fourth quarter. They would love to be on the move. They would love to cross midfield, have a first down, run out the time in the third, and then pick up the wind early. Now cut back by Jackson, looking good. Breaks across midfield to the 42-yard line. And looking on, there's his brother. Way to go, Brandon. The youngsters raised up Chicago way before they moved down to Mississippi. Tragedy in the family. This is an 18-yard run for Brandon, and you look at this run, Coach, and you got to stick with number 32 for a while.
And you know what, Brent? Sometimes his brother loves it. Sometimes you have to throw it a little bit first to be able to run it, and you get the feeling that's what's happened a little bit. Texas playing pass a little bit more than run, and now Brandon Jackson able to hit that crease.
Averaging better than 6 yards a carry. I mean, he is their running back. First and 10. And the toss to Jackson. Going to come right back with him. He loves to cut inside, and there's a penalty flag and probably holding on this call. And Lisa, give us the Brandon Jackson story as we watch the referee.
Well, his brother Charlton, who you just saw cheering in the stands, this is the first time that he's actually seen Brandon play here in Lincoln. He lives in Chicago, and he hadn't been able to make it down here until now. The Jackson boys have another brother, a sister, and they are a tight-knit group. They really have to be because their father died when they were all kids in a horrible car accident when Brandon was 6 years old. He was telling us yesterday, Brent, that despite starting this year 4th on the depth chart, that he just somehow knew that this was going to be his year, or that this is the year that he wished that his father could be here to see him play. So he started carrying around a picture of his dad, Charles, taping it up to his locker room for all the games, home and away, at all the practices, just so that he could feel his father's presence. Brent?
Yeah, it's a wonderful story with what those brothers did. Just the little guy, huh? And he's been tough growing up here today. Now, after the penalty, that brings him back on the other side of midfield, as you can see, for a 1st and 20. Texas rushing 4 again. Zach steps away, going to keep it. Going to take his licking at the 49 as he crosses midfield. Scott Derry. And Lisa, I told you the story, and here was Brandon's locker. You can see how nice this facility is, by the way. And there's some brother down there having a good time. But what a gorgeous locker room. It's like a clubhouse in a major a golf club.
It really
you go
is.
in there.
It really is. And how about Brandon Jackson? Did he ever stop smiling yesterday?
No, he's
in the half hour we were with him.
He's a delight. Second down and 17. Jackson, watch out if they come off that corner. And into the quarters. So they've just across midfield. Now they get the wind at the back. And folks, just a few snow flurries. The fourth quarter will come up on ABC after this message and a word from our ABC station. Well, we all know where Vince Young and the NFL Nation will be Monday night at 8:30 Eastern. Watching ESPN, Eli Manning and the New York Giants come to the Lone Star State. It's Drew Bledsoe and the Dallas Cowboys, and that'll be the Giants and the Cowboys. And here it is, the tough runner now. Brandon Jackson breaking free toward the end zone. Touchdown, Nebraska. You can forget about the running back rotation in Lincoln, folks. Number 32 has just taken charge. 49 yards for Brandon Jackson, and the Huskers are back in the thick of it.
Wow. Was that a big time run and effort, and how proud. He's on the phone. He's calling back to Mississippi, making sure they saw that one.
They can make it a two-point game again. Congdon. And remember what set this 7-point burst up. The missed field goal. And now for the rest of this game, the Cornhuskers will have the wind at their back.
And the little shuffle draw pass. 1 missed tackle, 2 missed tackle, 3. And a great block right there by the fullback, Dane Todd, in the open field. Brent, that was an unbelievable effort by Brandon Jackson. Boom, how about that block? This guy, 4th team when the season started. He's had labrum surgery in his shoulder, on both shoulders. That's as good as it gets right there for those two brothers.
Enjoy, folks.
You're exactly right.
That's
my brother, baby.
You better believe it.
Look at him smiling. And the snow has begun to fall, and the wind is in the Longhorns' face, Brent.
Major test coming up now for number 12, Colt McCoy. A 2-point lead. Texas had an extra point blocked, or they'd be sitting on a 3, and that could be very, very important.
And you can say what you want, but players always have another gear. And the fact that Brandon Jackson's brothers are this game, Brent, that may have been the extra gear for him right there.
Jake Rush, the drops of snow even on some of the lenses. Fielded at the 8 by Selvin Young. Selvin dips back, and he's just shy with Peterson's fine tackle. We check in with Matt Weiner.
Brent, time for a singular All-America Player of the Week update on who else but Troy Smith, who was fabulous again today. Buckeyes beating Indiana, tied a career high with 4 touchdown passes without a pick, 220 yards passing. To send your vote, just text the word vote to 87654 on your singular wireless telephone.
And Matt here, Bill Callahan and the Cornhuskers trying to make a statement. Been a struggle. This would be a major step up. And for the Horns, the poised defending national champions, working in the teeth of that wind now. Here comes a linebacker blitz, and they'll hand it off to the running back, the veteran, Selvin. Makes the most of it before Tier Green steps up with the tackle, number 30.
Brent, you've been here a lot of times in this stadium. I've had a chance to coach at LSU, coach at Tennessee, all those places. This place gets as loud as any place in the country. And they're going to come to life right here as Texas comes to the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 5. Gonna bring it back her again. First down pass to Swede, who hangs onto the ball. At the 36-yard line and move the chains.
And Colt McCoy just keeps answering the questions, doesn't he?
He sure does.
He looks like he's having fun out there.
Really does. It just, you would never know he was a redshirt freshman. 1st and 10. 17 to 27, 159 yards and 2 touchdowns for number 12. 1st and 10. So they're going to bring it back her again. Hit him on the release and dropped. Should have been completed, but Quan Cosby, who caught a touchdown pass, couldn't hang on.
Again, good pressure. I believe it's going to be Steve Octavian right there again, who's playing a heck of a football game. Wow, great throw by Colt McCoy.
2nd and 10. There's Octavian. He did the one thing you've got to do when you're going to hit a quarterback. You saw him throw his arms wide open, so he didn't wrap him up and throw him down. Very close coming in on him. 2nd and 10. The throwback on the screen. First down to Lima Swede. Well executed Greg Davis play call.
Brought down by number 8, Andrew Shanley.
Great job, Brent, by the freshman offensive tackle, Yulatoski, on the little jailbreak screen. Watch him right here at 6'6", 305-pound freshman get out in that open field. That's a pretty athletic move by a big guy.
Now Andre Jones has got to blow him up over there and slow that receiver up. Swede, 6 catches for 101 yards. And the backer backs out. Nebraska rushes 4. Can't get there. High. Finley, the tight end, his 3rd catch of the game, and Brandenburg, as we check our Pacific Life game summary from this Saturday afternoon in Lincoln. Shipley freeing up, 63 yards, 7-3 Nebraska. Back comes Colt McCoy. Cosby, they lead it. Then Swede. And they go out by 9. And then the inside shuffle pass, and Brandon Jackson takes it to the house. 2nd and 10. In underneath, Pittman thrown down by Green. Here comes your 3rd down. They're going to need about 6 yards, it looks like, from up here. We'll see. There it is. 3rd down and 6 now for McCoy. Here's a huge play at the 12-minute mark.
At some point, this young freshman, they're blitzing him now, Brown, every down. He has to make a mistake at some point, doesn't he? This is a young freshman in this environment here at Nebraska.
Third down. Steps away. Keeps it. Going to get the first down. Got it. Toughness tells.
Great effort that time by Jay Moore. Watch him at the bottom right here, run around Tony Hills. But again, Colt McCoy does it throwing, and he does it running.
Against the wind, Colt McCoy drives the Horns to the 35-yard line. Selvin Young tried to pick his way. Nothing doing. McEwen. There's Vince Young. Watch Coaching the quarterback who succeeded him at Texas, not leaving as his school is on the march here, leading 16-14. First down, and Sweet breaks free. A mistake by the corner by Andre Jones is having a real problem on that corner.
We saw it against USC. Again, Zach Bowman, their best corner, out for the season with a knee injury. Andre Jones, a transfer from Fresno City Junior College. No spring practice, Brent. And right there, just as important as covering, you have to be able to tackle. But how about Octavian? Octavian is playing a great football game at linebacker for Nebraska.
Sweet over there against Jones again on a first down inside the 20, quarterback draw. Across the 15-yard line that time, keeping the clock moving on this impressive drive for Mac Brown.
At some point, we have to give Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator from Texas, a lot of credit. I mean, the development Vince Young made over his career as a quarterback at Texas, outstanding. And there's some coaching that's gone into developing Colt McCoy as well. So a lot of credit to Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator.
One thing McCoy can also do is run option. They showed that against Baylor. They have not shown that much here today. 2nd and 8. Throwback to Swede. And that time it was well read by Jones. He was very aggressive on the throw, moved in.
It's really hard to make that throw when the corner's up and bump and run. Tight coverage on the wide receiver. And that time the offensive tackle, Tony Hills, Brent, couldn't get out there to block Andre Jones.
I would think that Texas would want to be careful on this 3rd and long. 5 is a lot different than a 2. In a 4th quarter. You don't want to lose to a field goal, so you got to be a little bit careful with this play call.
I agree. Not a bad quarterback drawdown, but Nebraska showing blitz. It's tough to run it against this look right here.
And they empty the backfield. Greg Davis going to put it up. The throw is incomplete, and there's a penalty as Green runs into Pittman. And it appears as though they're going to get a fresh series of downs on this.
And Brent, we're going to look at it again, but when you don't look back to the football as a defensive back and you just play the man, they are going to call it 9 times out of 10 if there's contact.
And I think you saw the official say number 30. Just a huge turning point in this football game.
Defensive pass interference, number 30. Ball replaced it to 2. First down.
Let's take a look at it again. You're going to see Tierre Green on Billy Pittman. And right here he closes, Brent. He should have looked back to the ball. Once you catch up with the receiver, look back and become the receiver as a defensive back. Vince knows that's a huge call on 3rd and 9.
Absolutely. Now here comes the power look. Remember, Loki is out with the injury. So they'll go with one running back, and that's the veteran Selvin Young behind McCoy. He'll get the call by the left side, tripped up, 2nd down and goal coming up. Actually may have lost a yard on Jay Moore. If Texas can put this on the 9, it becomes very, very difficult for Nebraska against Mac Brown's defense. Nebraska's biggest hope is to hold Texas to a field goal. Won't be easy. 2nd down goal.
Again, Colt McCoy, Brent, going to be up under center. Crowd noise a factor because they're going off the cadence right here.
Toss play. On the juggle, won't get it. Lost yardage again. It was not a clean catch as Jay Moore, coming off that defensive end spot, makes another play. And now it is 3rd down. So number 44. Strong at that defensive end.
And John Blake, the former head coach at Oklahoma, the defensive line coach, Brent, here at Nebraska. I've been impressed with the play of this Nebraska defense overall as we take a look at John Blake. who's recruited about half these players on this Nebraska team.
Wonderful recruiter. Here's your 3rd and goal now for McCoy and the Horns.
Jermichael Finley, number 16, the big tight end, may be a factor here.
He snatched one out of the air against Baylor. Quick throw, flanker screen. Pittman not going to get there. Coming up to make the stop is Stuart Bradley. The linebacker was all over him. Now Greg Johnson has made a 22-yarder, but he's missed from 39 and 31, and he's had an extra point blocked. It's a 2-point lead, 16-14.
Well, I'll tell you, Texas faked the field goal last week against Baylor, and I know you want the field goal to take it to a more than a 2-point lead, but what a great situation right here. You don't think they're going to fake it, do you? I wouldn't either.
I got to go for the 5.
I do too. I do too.
I just think the number's too critical, but he has struggled a little bit. Not that time. He rifled that one through, and the lead goes to 5. Nebraska needs a touchdown. 6.5 minutes. They'll have the wind at their back as Pittman is thrown down, and they settle for 3. Well, the last time that Nebraska beat a team ranked in the top 10, you got to go back to 2001 against Oklahoma on an end-around pass. And now we come down to the final 6.5 minutes. Zach Taylor and the Cornhuskers have a chance. Down only 5 points. Kicked along the ground into the wind. Picked up by Jackson, who made that brilliant touchdown run, and he battles this time out to the 35-yard line. Zach Taylor and the Huskers will take over. We'll take a break, and we'll come back with the snow starting to fall in Lincoln. Can the Cornhuskers come all the way back? We'll find out. 19-14, 6:22 to go. In the first half, Zach Taylor was sacked 4 times. He has not been sacked once this half. Credit the offensive line. From left to right, Patrick, Austin, Byford, Huff, and Slauson have done a much better job of protecting the quarterback. Now 6:08 to go on 1st and 10, and having said that, Patrick breaks the snap count and costs them 5.
You were rolling too on the offensive line.
I wanted to give those big uglies, as they have been called for years. And let me just remind everybody that coming up now, the second half of ABC's college football doubleheader. Most of you will see this one. Iowa take on number 2 Michigan, and others will see that ACC game between Boston College and Florida State. Next on ABC, college football lives here. So it becomes 1st and 15, and another move by him. Back to back. Sometimes on the road that can happen. That's very unusual.
You are exactly right. And all of a sudden now, because it's 1st and 20, you would love to give the ball. You would love to give the ball to Brandon Jackson, because you have the feeling he can take this team on his back. But now it's 1st and 20. It's hard to run the football.
5:52 remaining, a Big 12 showdown. The leader of the South, the leader of the North, could meet again on December 2nd in Kansas City in the Big 12 championship game. But first things first, and Nebraska trailing it here with a 1st and 20, and it is suddenly 2nd and 20. So an ugly start, and there's a penalty flag way downfield. Purify ran into one of the Griffins, I believe, down there, and something happened.
And they're going to get Marcus Griffin. After that play was over, he jerked Purify, who was on the ground. That was an excellent call right there.
Purify has had only 1 catch, but it was huge in this game. A 63-yard touchdown. This figures to be, if it's called against Griffin, an automatic 1st down. Big 12 crew trying to straighten out what could be a huge turning point.
Dead ball, personal foul. Number 26 on the defense, 15 yards, First down.
And you're going to see right here at the top of the screen, Marcus Griffin. Pure Fake came in and blocked him low. And then Marcus Griffin, as you hear all the time, Brent, retaliated late and got called for it.
He objected to that block, and that would have been 2nd and 20. Instead, it's another first down. Double reverse. Here comes Hardy. He's got speed. Out of bounds, a first down, and number 27, Michael Griffin, the twin brother, comes over.
Speed on defense negates great offensive plays, Brent. I mean, this wall is set up, and look at Griffin put the shot on France Hardy. I mean, that looked like a punt return wall. It was set up so well. He just compensated for baby brother right there after the 15-yard penalty. Was that a lick?
That was. So he's the oldest of the twins, huh?
He's the oldest.
All right. First down and 10. Older brother always cleans up for you. First down.
Well, I got to get back and check that birth certificate. I might have gone out on a limb now.
Here comes Zach. Going to fire deep down. Got it. Complete at the 25-yard line. Comes back to Purify. His 2nd catch of the game. And the Huskers on the move.
And again, Brent, pass protection has been the biggest improvement. You see Zach Taylor step up. What a catch by the junior college transfer, Purify. That's a great catch.
13 of 25 for Taylor now for 250 yards. 2 touchdowns, one of them to him. Bill Callahan's offense to the 25-yard line. 5 minutes left. Lucky in as the running back. The toss play to Lucky. He's going to throw. Got a receiver wide open. Touchdown, Swift. Nebraska leads it. Bill Callahan empties out the playbook. Marlon Lucky out of Southern California throws the halfback option pass to Nate Swift. And now the Huskers will go for 2. Todd lined up as the tailback. They're going to throw for it. Rolls to the right, throws incomplete. So it was picked off, actually, by the Horns as Griffin jumps in. A 1-point lead. Nebraska leads it on the halfback option pass. Swift's first catch of the day and his first touchdown of the year. Happiness in Lincoln, Nebraska is a lead with 4:54 to go. The snow starting to fall. And Swift, who got that go-ahead touchdown over on the far side.
The snow blowing in Lincoln, Nebraska, huh?
Winter Wonderland in October.
Wow, how's Vince?
Vince says, I know this scene. We got a lot of time. Max got Colt McCoy ready to go.
And Brent, how big was the personal foul call on Marcus Griffin? Because it would have been 2nd down and 20.
Condon back to kick this one off. On the ground, a line drive. Picked up on the 8-yard line by Sheldon Young. So Duck keeps his balance, and he's to the 35. That fine return. Let's go to the TD back.
When you have an aggressive corner like Aaron Ross, he's supposed to be playing 3 deep, responsible for the deep part of the field, Brent. He jumped up. And how about Nate Swift, who had dropped a ball earlier? Pretty good off-balance throw by Lucky. Minutes.
The defending national champions. And out to the 35. McCoy will take off. And stoned after a gain of a couple of yards by Brandenburg. We check in with Matt Weiner.
Brent, here's our vote for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the day. Crazy second half at Penn State. Lions up 10-9. When they get to Juice Williams, Brandon Snow sacked him. Tony Davis scoops up the fumble, 6 yards, 14 points in 57 seconds. To vote for your game-changing performance, log on to ESPN.com.
And here it is, 2nd and 8. McCoy's hit, fumble! Texas on it. Ulatowski, the tackle, saves the moment as Barry Cryer rolled in on McCoy.
And Barry Cryer that time beat Casey Studdard, the guard, and that was a fumble. Huge recovery right here by the freshman Ulatowski, Brent.
A 3rd down for McCoy and the Horns. They need 13 yards. They need the 46.
Here they come.
All-out blitz. Kevin Cosgrove's bringing the kitchen sink, and here they come. McCoy going out of bounds, throws it almost complete, but it's defended by Nebraska. An amazing effort by McCoy, but well defended as Wilson was over there. Finley, the intended receiver.
You mentioned it, a great effort by Colt McCoy. Avoids Carricker, and that affects field position because Texas will punt this football with 2 timeouts left, Brent, and 3:05 left.
And Bo Ruud deserves a ton of credit on that play. Number 51 was a linebacker dropping back on Finley. They almost had him bracketed with the sideline. 4th down and 13. With 3 minutes to go, Mack Brown elects to kick it back and take his chances with his defense. We check in with John Saunders in New York.
Well, Brad, a great finish ahead for you, and 2 more great games ahead on ABC. Michigan will try and remain unbeaten as they face Iowa. Others will get Boston College against Florida State. Check your local listings. Those games at 3:30. Brent, back to you.
All right, John. In the final 3 minutes here. 1-point lead. If you're wondering why 19, Texas missed an extra point in this game, or we'd be tied. On top of that, they missed 2 field goals in this game. So the kicking woes have put the Longhorns in jeopardy here.
You talk about Nebraska, the commitment to the running game, Brent. Right here is where it can all pay off for you.
Brandon Jackson is the running back. Behind the left side and still going. Near the 35. Now I want to take you back to these kicking problems. The miscues. The block on the extra point. And then 2 missed field goals from 39 and from 31 yards. 7 points left on the table. And Nebraska leads it by 1. Bill Callahan and the Huskers trying to beat a top 10 team for the first time since 2001. Is this the first of 2 meetings? Remember, looking ahead to the first week in December, the Big 12 championship game in Kansas City. This would be a huge step up for Bill Callahan and the Nebraska program if they can hang on. They lost their first major test of the year against USC as we check in. Now with the All-State BCS standings here. Texas, one of those 1-loss teams, ranked 9th. They lose this one. They can forget about the national championship in all likelihood, but not the Fiesta Bowl. Remember, the winner of the Big 12 goes automatically to a BCS game, just not the championship game in Glendale. And a huge battle underway for that 2 spot right now. And Ohio State and Michigan, of course, they meet in Columbus.
And Brent, I think the Big 12, 5 of the last 6 years has had a team in the BCS championship game. And you mentioned if Texas loses, they're out. But right now, if I'm Nebraska, protect the football because nobody in the country forces more turnovers than the Texas Longhorn defense.
The defense just trying to give them an opportunity here. They come back with Jackson again, and at that time he was stopped by Scott Derry.
Texas, I believe, just used their last timeout, Brent.
So we will take a break. Still 2:23 to go and a 1-point game in Lincoln. Well, I guarantee you no snow where you're going for the Funai Classic at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. And ESPN at 4 Eastern be coming up. And then tomorrow, complete tee to pin coverage, the final round. And ABC will take over the coverage beginning at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. So here's your big 3rd and 3. They're going to throw for it. Got it. First down. Fumble. Texas. Texas jumped on the ball. They throw for the first down. The receivers insisting he was down. They give it to Texas on the turnover. The line judge was there. Now replay becomes very important upstairs. They will take a huge look at this play. Ball's out. No question. None coughed it up.
Brent, we talked about turnovers. Texas forced 5 against Oklahoma, 5 against Baylor, and I believe that's the 3rd turnover today this Texas defense has forced.
Marcus Griffin, number 26, who committed that personal foul, recovers the ball.
And Aaron Ross, who was beat on the halfback pass, Brent, caused the fumble.
So there's Aaron. And Marcus jumping in there. Now, they're going to check upstairs, and that's exactly what they should do. Slow the game up at this critical point. We thought from our vantage point there was no question. The ball was coming free from Terrence Nunn. You decide here at home. You take a look at this.
No question, is there, Brent?
No, I don't think there's any doubt.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that was a great hit by Bob, the young man you have called perhaps the best corner in college football, certainly the best we've seen this year.
And without a doubt, the best defense in the country, Brent, of forcing turnovers.
Well, if they get the ball, they'd have it just inside the 45-yard line. They are out of timeouts. 2 minutes and 17 seconds to go. There's Mack talking with Greg Davis upstairs. They will set the situation for Colt. Reminded that he's out of timeouts. Of course, in the college game, a first down stops the clock momentarily while they reset the chains as the snow continues to come down here, and the Big 12 wants to make absolutely certain that they have made the right call on the field, and that's nothing more than either of these coaches would expect in a situation this important.
If I'm Texas, I get every heater I have on that sideline, and I get Greg Johnson, that place kicker, in front of those heaters. Keep in mind, he's missed 2 today. He's kicking into the wind.
He had only come in having attempted 2. Am I right about that, Bob?
He's 1 for 2 on the season.
I made that observation.
Yeah.
Unusual, he'd only attempted 2. 2:17 to go.
Clearly, the ball's out.
I honestly am going. Here comes the announcement that it's a
Upon
fumble.
review, the play is confirmed. First down, Texas.
2:17 to go. First down and 10.
And Brent, I think about the matchup of Andre Jones, the junior college corner, number 25, and Lima Swede with this football game on the line right now.
Final 2:13, 1st and 10 after the turnover. Nebraska rushes 4. Throw in underneath. Short of the first down, an 8-yard gain. That's Quan Cosby. He caught the touchdown pass earlier.
Obviously helps that Texas is always a no-huddle offense, so this is nothing out of the ordinary for Texas.
Second and 2. Deflected. It's now 3rd and 2 as Jay Moore, number 44. He was a running back in high school. He grew up, long-time Cornhusker fan. Used to come with his father to watch the games, and Kyle comes in and makes a huge play for the Black Shirts, as the defensive studs here in Lincoln are known and have been since the days of Coach McBride. 3rd down and 2.
Not a bad spot to run the football and try to get the first down if you're Texas right here, Brent.
Selvin Young's the running back next to McCoy. 4-down situation, obviously. Slant, 1st down, still going, and swinging in is Cosby, just shy of the 20-yard line.
Boy, the effort by Casey stuttered the offensive guard, Brent, downfield to recover that fumble.
So there is number 64 who saved the afternoon. Casey stuttered. Right here, watch. Ball's loose and stuttered. Snow continuing to fall. 125. Selvin Young on the handoff, looking for the corner. Got it and is out of bounds. Clock stops as Selvin Young able to take it out of bounds. Mack Brown probably thinking, you know, I'd like to put this in the end zone and not rely on the field goal situation since we've missed 2 already.
That's exactly what Mack Brown is thinking right now, Brent. That and protect the football, and then let's at least get a field goal shot to win this game.
1st and goal. Here's Selvin again to the 8-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. Octavian makes the play.
And if you're Nebraska, Brent, you may think about taking a timeout yourself right now with 3 timeouts left. Because if they do kick the field goal, at least you get the football back.
Here's your 2nd and goal. Colt McCoy and the Horns. Quarterback draw all the way to the 4-yard line. He battles. No timeouts. Clock continuing to run. Mack's got to make a decision now.
Nebraska called timeout.
And while we await this and have a timeout, let's check in with Matt Weiner.
Brent, Michigan State on a 4-game losing streak, trying to pull out of the dive at Northwestern. They trailed 38-3 in this game. Drew Stanton running for his life and finds T.J. Williams to tie it. Spartans have just kicked a field goal and lead it 41-38 with 5 seconds to go. Notre Dame, the early jump on UCLA. Brady Quinn to Jeff Samardzija, the touchdown.
I note that Notre Dame has played UCLA only twice before, and they have beaten them. And let's go back to this situation, Bob. The clock was running down. Texas had to make a decision with 3rd down coming up if they were going to stop it. Bill Callahan electing to try and give himself a few seconds if they kick a field goal. Is that what transpired here?
Exactly. Bill Callahan is thinking right now Texas is going to have a chip shot field goal. Time is really no factor against Texas, even though they don't have a timeout. So why not use a timeout in case we have time to get the ball back? But keep in mind the kicker, Greg Johnson, has missed both field goals from this same hash at the other end of the field. So if you're Texas, get the football in the middle of the field right now.
And it is possible that they'll switch kickers here. And I see Ryan Bailey, who would be a possible replacement down there if they decide to go in a different direction. He had warmed up. This is 3rd down and goal and out of timeout. Throw it for the end zone. Battle for the ball. Incomplete.
You got to be kidding me, don't you?
They went jump ball, double coverage.
Brent, explain that call to me. The risk of having that football intercepted right there when a field goal wins this game? That makes no sense right there.
Well, here comes Ryan Bailey.
And now the ball's still on the same hash that he missed from at the other end of the field.
With 27 seconds, Bob, would they have had enough time on third down? There are no timeouts. Could they have moved it to the center on a running play and still kicked it?
No question.
Okay.
No question. And Nebraska probably would have called timeout, but has Texas changed kickers right here?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan Bailey.
Boy, I would have put that ball in the middle of the field. Bring the field goal team out and kick the ball from the middle of the field. I mean, you leave the ball on the hash and you risk the interception on that jump ball to line of sweep. This is not a gimmick by any stretch of the imagination.
We are at this point because of Johnson's problems. He had an extra point that was blocked. Now you've got one field goal that is shy. And the other one, he pulled it. Now, the one thing, and I've never seen the young man kick, but I'm betting you that he's a right-footed kicker from that hash. Right. And that's why they left it there. If I had to guess, they took the left-footed kicker out, came with the right-footed kicker from that hash. What a critical point.
But why not put the ball in the middle and go with your left-footed kicker?
This is a walk-on kicker, I am told, from Anderson High School in Austin, Texas. There's a whole lot of Andersons right now with their fingers crossed, down on their knee. What a spot for this young man. A 22-yarder. Callahan wants to get the situation straight over there. We've got a challenge here. A coach's challenge has been used by Bill Callahan. With 27 seconds, he is challenging. And here is the play. Ball wasn't caught by anybody.
Looks like it hit the ground to me. Right there, the ball hit the ground. Yeah.
It's a very effective use of a challenge, even if he knows he's wrong. A young kicker in a situation like this is just a little bit of ice. This is nothing more than a delay the game tactic to have this walk-on, Ryan Bailey, think about this a little bit longer. There is no question what has been happening right here.
Brent, I have to go back one more time to throwing that jump ball to Lima Sweet and not running the football and putting it dead in the middle of the field and letting your field goal kicker, who's kicked all day, kick the game-winning field goal for you.
Mack and the Texas coaches are chuckling about this because they know it's an incomplete pass.
Could have been pass interference on Andre Jones.
Except that you cannot challenge that. So let me make that clear to the audience, okay? You cannot challenge that. That's a judgment call. Ball bounced off the ground, incomplete pass. But in the meantime, the focus should be on Bailey as we welcome those of you who are just joining us here. We've gone a little bit back and forth. Texas trying to hang on to hopes of defending their national crown that they won in dramatic fashion a year ago in the Rose Bowl. And here is the walk-on kicker who has replaced Johnson, who had an extra point blocked and missed 2 field goals, and a little bit of ice has been
After
applied.
review, the play is confirmed. The pass was incomplete.
So Bailey has time to think about it from the right hash. 27 seconds to go.
But a young man from Austin, Texas, Bailey, in this situation, Brent.
Here it comes. Look at everybody's face. Now hanging on this. Jordan Shipley is your holder. 22-yarder. Right through.
Great job by that young man to step up and do that.
Ryan Bailey.
Brent, now you think about Nebraska. They played Michigan in the Alamo Bowl last year, correct, on the Michigan play, the kickoff return, like the Stanford play. You know that's coming right now. See if Bill Callahan takes a page out of Lloyd Carr's playbook and has a kickoff return scheme cooked up.
Let's hope that both sidelines are a little bit cleaner than that one in the Alamo Bowl.
But let's go back. Aaron Ross causes the fumble on the third down throw, which was a little bit questionable that Bill Callahan would throw the football. Texas gets the turnover, and how about Colt McCoy?
Takes him right
Take
down.
that football team down the field, Brent.
Colt McCoy today, 25 of 39 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
I think if these two teams play again in the Big 12 championship, we have that game. That's a pretty good game, isn't it?
Ooh, I think so.
I like it. I'd like to see this one keep going.
Those fans of Michigan and Iowa are saying end it. 22-20 with 23 seconds remaining. And the Huskers with 1 timeout remaining. So they still have 1 timeout. Some fans who just a couple of minutes ago were ecstatic here are looking on in dismay. They're following the turnover. They'll kick it along the ground, eat up some seconds. Todd, the fullback, will lateral it off. They're going to throw it across field. Here it comes. Down at the 23-yard line. And today's Chevrolet players of the game. Colt McCoy, 220 passing yards today and 2 touchdowns. And Brandon Jackson, 116 total yards and that magnificent touchdown on the shovel pass. So with the timeout, remember on change of possession and the game clock starting on the kickoff, but then by using that final timeout, Bill Callahan has given Taylor and the offense 12 seconds. And of course, second half of our doubleheader coming up next. Most of you will see Iowa, Michigan. The rest will see Boston College against Florida State. Next on ABC, college football lives here. You just never know what kind of drama will unfold when you walk into one of these college football venues.
And these teams have played hard.
Yes,
this has been a hard-hitting football game, Brent.
10 Texas points following Nebraska turnovers today. After an interception, Lima Swede caught a 55-yarder, and after a fumble recovery, there was a 22-yard field goal. Field position big in the first half, but yet Ryan Bailey, 6'2", 180 pounds, a sophomore out of Anderson High School in Austin, Texas, is the hero of the moment. The entire Anderson family will meet that plane when it lands back in Austin.
Anderson family, the city of Austin, will meet that plane.
And so the prevent throwing in underneath, looking for the first down. They lateral off of it. Now here's none. He'll get out of bounds. Beautiful little hook and ladder play, and they get out of bounds on that far side to stop the clock. And now we've got 5 seconds remaining. You see how deep, Bob, the Texas secondary will deploy for this play.
And what you don't want if you're Texas, Brent, don't have a penalty. The game cannot end on a penalty.
I mean, we have defensive backs inside the 10-yard line, right?
Yeah. And they're trying to back them up even more.
They don't have Doug Flutie throwing it.
Better watch out here now.
And Zach Taylor goes long. Batted incomplete. And there's a penalty flag. Hold it. Taylor's pointing that it's against Texas.
And just what we said.
Just
Brent.
what you said.
They roughed the passer.
That's automatic first down. Give them the 15 yards. They get another shot at it if that's what it is.
The passer.
Absolutely.
Number 98 of the defense. 15 yards. 1 on time down.
And Brent, if I'm Texas right here, I rush Zach Taylor. Don't let him sit there like this against a 3-man rush. That's stupid.
Oh, yeah. What was he thinking of?
The game's Brian Arakpo.
What was he thinking of?
Wow. But I do not 3-man rush here and let him have that much time, Brent.
Well, here we go. And from the Texas 40-yard line, he can get this one down in the end zone, folks.
But when you have 5 or 6 guys blocking 3, Brent, he'll have all day to throw this football.
I'm looking for Gerard Phelan. Doug Flutie knows what I'm talking about right here.
This makes me nervous right here, just rushing 3.
Stepping up. Firing for the end zone now. Jump ball. Here it comes. On the ground. Game over. Texas still alive in its pursuit of defending a national championship. A turnover and a walk-on field goal. How about this game? Congratulations to Texas and a hard-fought loss for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Bill Callahan out to shake hands with Mac Brown. Again, 22-20. And coming up next, most of you will see Iowa take on Michigan. Others will see Boston College going against Mac Brown's alma mater, Florida State. We want to thank you for watching ESPN on ABC. Bob Davey and Lisa Salters. I'm Brent Musburger saying so long from Lincoln, Nebraska. Texas pulls one out.